What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We are back live once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your movie, television, Marvel, and DC news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be diving into for you guys. We had a huge animation festival in Annecy Festival this year. We got a bunch of WB animation announcements and updates, along with some DC Studios animation stuff as well. We got some Gears of War in the news. We're going to be looking forward to Robert Eggers' upcoming horror film, Werewulf, and a ton more, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back to another live episode of A-Plus Hero Report. We really appreciate you guys certainly coming through once again to certainly join us. It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back to go ahead and wrap up your weekend the right way, guys. We got some incredible topics we're going to be diving into today. It is just myself. Unfortunately, we do not have Stuart here with us. He certainly will be missed, but that's certainly more than fine. Rock and solo dolo here today. We got some incredible topics we're going to be breaking down for you guys. It should be pretty fun, at least in regards to the animation realm. We got a couple of huge announcements that I'm really eager to get into. I actually find myself, I had to restart my computer before we started, which is why we had a little bit of some technical difficulties and delays in regards to getting this all set up for you guys. So I am trying to, I had to restart my browser and everything. My webcam was just not registering a single thing today. So I had to go ahead and get that started. So that's the reason why we're starting a little bit late today. So I certainly do apologize. We got a plethora of news, and I'm sitting here trying to get all these news articles together for you guys before we start today's show. Because it is just myself here going solo dolo. Look, I love when you guys certainly participate in our shows. If you have any thoughts in regards to any of the topics that we're certainly going to be talking about today, feel free to let your thoughts be known in the live chat, so I can go ahead and converse with you guys, debate with you guys in regards to certain things that are going on in the world today. And that's usually how this episode is going to thrive, when it's just myself here, because I hate just talking to the camera. I usually like having somebody around to bounce some of my thoughts off of, and really dive into aspects of some of the story that we're definitely going to be talking about today. So give me a second as I try and gather all of our pieces of information here today. I'm looking forward to talking this show, man. We've got some dark stuff in here. We got some lighthearted stuff and some animation, certainly for everybody. But look, if you are in the live chat today, let me see how everybody's doing in here, because I like to shout everybody out that's participating in our live show. Ricky Perez in the house. Hey, Adam, just saw the second official trailer for DreamWorks animated film Forgotten Island. It will be arriving in theaters soon. Yeah, let me tell you, man. I've seen that Forgotten Island trailer twice, one in theaters, and then they just dropped the brand new one this week. The more and more I see of it, man, the more, like, it looks so good. It looks so good to me. I cannot wait to dive into that film. I think DreamWorks does a pretty good job with some of its original animated films, but this one looks like it should be pretty good. Ricky Perez also says, during the Annecy Film Festival, it was announced brand new Lilo and Stitch animated short film will be premiering in theaters in November. Okay, very cool. Also, a brand new Finding Nemo short film has revealed, and the title is Loving Dory, and it will be arriving in theaters with Pixar's Gato in 2027. Okay, so that's like a little short film before the movie itself starts playing. Very cool. Also saw the first look images of the upcoming Ghostbusters Night Shift series. Yeah, you know what? Since you went ahead and brought it up, let me go ahead and just knock that out real quick. They do have a brand new Ghostbusters animated series that they're going to be tackling. I can't remember. I know they dropped the synopsis for it. I'm not sure if they dropped any other details. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh yeah, here's the plot summary while I bring up some of the images for you guys here. According to the presentation at Annecy Animation Festival, it says set in New York City in 1994. This is 5 years after Ghostbusters took the Statue of Liberty for a walk. And so I'm assuming this is after Ghostbusters 2, when they like slime the inside of the Statue of Liberty to make it take control over it and everything like that. But it says set 5 years after Ghostbusters took the Statue of Liberty for a walk, a new wave of supernatural terror forces scrappy young New Yorkers to strap on proton packs and bust some ghosts. So it looks like we're gonna have a brand new team here. It just says some scrappy New Yorkers. It doesn't say like how they know each other, how they came together. Are they all from the same apartment complex? Like what connects all of them, or have they come across their own proton packs? I am kind of curious, but those were some of the exclusive images from the night shift, Ghostbusters night shift. That doesn't say exactly when it's going to be released, but we do finally have our first look. Also, HBO Max orders Adventure Time, Bubblegum, and Marceline animated series. Yep, you can definitely look up that information as well. Nickelodeon, MTV, and Paramount Network channels is going to premiere all the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts movies in July and August. Yeah, I did see that they wind up getting the streaming rights for it, so I'm looking forward to that one. Um, Finally announced that the next Illumination movie will be arriving in theaters in 2027. The original movie and title is not alone, and it will be starring Selena Gomez. Very cool. Well, shout out to Peg C for certainly coming through today. He says, I saw the trailer for Johnny Young Bosch's movie called Spades, where he plays the title character, a mysterious masked vigilante. Interesting. I'm trying to remember. I think you might have, I don't know if you sent me the link to that one. But I think I did see images of it, but I have not had the opportunity to check it out for myself. Also, watched the trailer for the third part animated movie Batman Night Falls. It looks really good. Yeah, we may check out we may check that out onto today's show. So we'll see. Marcelino just being disrespectful as can be. Cancel Hero Report because Stuart isn't here today. Who's with me? I think you might be alone on that one, buddy. Sorry, Marcelino. Kiki and Luca in the house. What's going on? Really appreciate you. Says thanks for doing this every Sunday. Trust me, man. Look, I I definitely um I definitely love doing this with you guys on a weekly basis. It probably drives my girlfriends crazy. No, I don't think me doing the show live every Sunday drives my girlfriend crazy. I think what drives my girlfriend's crazy is like having to actually have me wake up and get her out of her comfy bed to do the show. Outside of that, she definitely approves. But I love doing this with you guys on a weekly basis. So I'm a big nerd that way. Like this and going to the movies is like my outlet for the week to keep me sane, if I'm being honest with you. Like I love movie, I love TV, I love film in general. And so to be able to talk, and I'm a big comic book collector ever since I was a young kid, so I kind of grew up in this world. And so to be able to talk with you guys about all this stuff is something that I really enjoy. Look, I have my own opinions. I don't really necessarily care if people like my opinions or not. I try and be very balanced in regards to some of my thoughts. And sometimes sometimes I think we just all need a gateway or something to get our thoughts out. You know what I mean? And so to be able to talk with other like-minded people is really enjoyable for me. So I really enjoy doing this every Sunday with you guys. By the way, really enjoyed Supergirl. Don't believe the haters. See it for yourself. Yeah, I would agree. Go see the movie for yourself. I had the opportunity to see it twice already. We're going to be talking about it on Monday's show, our Let's Talk Movies episode on Monday. But I had the opportunity to see it twice. I saw it Friday on IMAX. It looks great on IMAX. And then we went to I took the girlfriend with me yesterday to see the movie as well. So I've seen it twice, and I've enjoyed it both times. Hunter in the house, A Plus Hero Report. Any more names of mystery miracle animated series? Maybe in regards to like casting news. They have not released any casting information, but we will be talking about Mr. Miracle today as well. That is on the docket. Peg C in the house. I saw the OG Supergirl movie from 1984 the other day. I need to check that one out. I probably should have watched that one. We probably should have did a review for that one on Let's Talk Movies the previous week to get mentally prepared for the new Supergirl movie. We didn't get the opportunity to do that. It slipped my mind, but I have to go check that out. I have to go check out the OG Supergirl movie for sure. But I would agree with Kiki and Luca. Regardless of what the critics or audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes say, if you've had any interest in Supergirl, if you like the Superman movie and interested to see what the next step in the DCU is, just go see the movie for yourself. Just go see the movie for yourself. I certainly enjoyed it. I don't think the movie was a banger. It kind of gives me vibes of like Phase 1 MCU, and that's no disrespect. It's just really a beginning ground and a starting ground with a lot of growth for an upcoming character to kind of see where they go from here, sort of thing. So I certainly enjoyed the Supergirl movie. Not to say it doesn't have its faults. Again, we'll definitely dive into some of that and all that stuff. But enjoyed the movie. Would recommend checking it out for certainly what it is, and see if you like it for yourself. What else we got here in live comments? I think that's going to be it for the live comments. But look, as we go through today's show, if you do want to go ahead and drop any live comments, please go ahead and do so. Pexi says, I also got a chance to see Masters of the Universe last night. I saw Masters of the Universe twice as well. I had so much fun the first time. I had to go back and see it again. I think I saw it earlier this week. I wanted to try and at least see it again before it left theaters. It's such a fun movie for me, man. I laugh out loud all the time, and it really just hits the nostalgia factor for me. But even if you aren't a He-Man fan or have no like idea of the IP or didn't grow up on it, the movie does a really good job of like investing you and bringing you into that world, and having a good time. And was a really great like popcorn flick for sure. I had a fun time with Masters of the Universe also. All right, guys. Hunter Ziggy says, there is zero woke, and what is your thoughts on people bashing and attacking Millie Alcock and calling her Chaka from the land of the no? Yo, first off, I have seen the Chaka memes or like the face plastered on the on the Millie Alcock Supergirl. I have seen images of it. I just like looks just don't make a movie for me, right? Like it's just funny that people just if you don't find her attractive, like that's cool. Like everybody has their own taste, but like to not find somebody attractive and just be like, I just don't want to see them because they're ugly. Like that's just the most superficial shit like I've ever heard in my life. Like that has nothing to do with like the movie or the presence of it all. I mean, it's yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, I don't find anything really woke in the Supergirl movie. First off, I hate the term woke. Like I just absolutely do. I literally just watched the same movie in the Furious. Like the Furious has like the same concept in here in regards to like villain wise and what like the villains kind of stand for. I didn't really hear people bash or complain the Furious for tackling something like that, but it does seem as though people are kind of bashing and attacking Supergirl movie in that regards, even though it's literally talking about the same thing. But under no circumstances did I find anything in that movie like considered quote unquote woke as people like to call things these days. But yeah. Anyway, continue to bring in your live thoughts in the live chat in the comments. We'll definitely be bringing them up as we go through today's show, so certainly don't worry. I definitely will be highlighting everybody in here. Let's see here. You know what, let's go ahead and start kicking off this show with our first segment of the day. Pixie says, I hate the word woke. Yeah, you and me both, man. I'm not a fan of that word. It's definitely been hijacked for its true meaning. It drives me crazy. Honorable mentions portion of the show, guys. If this is your first time watching the channel, pretty much honorable mentions are topics that we felt you certainly deserve to continue to know about, but just did not quite make our top. Our top 6 topics, but we definitely wanted you to be caught up on some things. So let me give me a minute here because we got a lot going on, and it's just me, so I'm trying to get everything organized. And now it looks like these things are like, there we go. It's taking forever for some of these images to pop up for me now. We got new images of David Cornsweet as Superman. Man of Tomorrow continues to film right now, and new images continue to surface. A couple of weeks ago, we highlighted Lex Luthor in his war suit. Now we're getting ourselves some new images of David Cornsweet as Superman. The suit continues to grow on me, man. I almost feel like the colors on this suit are even more vibrant than than in the first movie. I'm sure it's just my eyesight, but it looks really good. Like the suit just continues to grow on me every time that I see it. And even getting the opportunity to see David Cornsweet in Supergirl, and that's no spoiler because you do see Superman in the Supergirl trailers. He was great in Supergirl also. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with this next entry. I'm really excited for it, to be quite honest with you. What else do we got on the docket? I don't think I added this image yet. Let me see if I can pop up get this image updated real quick. There we go. So we can talk about the next honorable mention on here. I have not watched the Friday Night at Freddy's movies. They've gotten 2 movies so far, but apparently they are gearing up for a third. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Friday Night at Freddy's 3 has found a writer for the script, Gary Dauberman. The writer behind the beloved It movie and the Annabelle movies is coming in to bring some fresh blood to the hit Blumhouse Atomic Monster video game movie franchise. It says Gary Dauberman, who has had his hands in the middle of some of the biggest horror franchises of the past decade, has now been tapped to write the script for the third installment. Friday Nights at Freddy's opened in December and grossed $240 million worldwide. I really don't know what the budget for Friday Night at Freddy's certainly was, but it is getting a third film. I don't know. Are these films that I should be checking out for myself? I am kind of curious as to what you guys think. I have not had the opportunity to watch a single Friday Night at Freddy's. I did watch like some of the first one, but I have not watched it in full. And I am kind of curious if it's something that I should dive into. But yeah, Friday Night at Freddy's is getting a third film. So they're either making great money at the box office or they're great movies also on top of that. Let me know if you guys have had the opportunity to check it out yourself. We also have, you guys know we have Shrek 5 that's coming out. It looks like we're going to be getting ourselves a Donkey spinoff too. According to Variety, Shrek spinoff Donkey winds up setting a 2028 release date. Shrek's chatty, deeply needy sidekick is taking the spotlight in Donkey, a new spinoff in the beloved animated series. They have slated Donkey to release on June 30th, 2028. Eddie Murphy is returning to voice his signature role in the film, which will serve as an origin story of how Donkey became Donkey. Have we had another outside of the Shrek movie? The only other spinoff that I know of is Puss in Boots, and Puss in Boots has done relatively well, but it looks as though Donkey is next up in regards to its own his own movie. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in regards to that one. What else do we have on the docket here today? There was another article I wanted to bring up. I'm trying to find it here briefly. Where did you go? There. Oh, here we go. Because it was in fact Annecy Anime Festival, we did get ourselves an announcement of a Conan the Barbarian series. That's right, Conan the Barbarian. According to the wrap, this is going to be from Gendy Tartakovsky, to mount Conan the Barbarian animated series for Cartoon Network and Prime Video. This is an exclusive. It says Conan the Barbarian is coming to Prime Video via the animated series from the animation legend Gendy Tartakovsky. He first pitched the animated version of the character back in 2008. Various networks and streamers were interested in the project, but now it has a firm home with Prime Video. It just entered development, so it will be a while before we see anything from the series. In a pre-taped message, though, Tartakovsky joked that maybe he'd be able to share some animatics next year and some rough animation the year after that. So it sounds like maybe it's gonna be a minute. But you guys should be familiar with some of his work. Uh, this is the first time that he has worked with a pre-existing IP since Clone Wars. Um, it says his relationship with Cartoon Network stretches back from the beginning, including such favorites like Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. I think he just had a recent movie too called Primal, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's coming back to do more animation work, this time for Conan the Barbarian. I'm excited for this one, man. First off, I love the art style that he always presents. If anything, I think it's like beyond time for us to have. Why is my camera like going in and out of focus so badly? I do think it's time that we have a Conan the Barbarian something on the big screen. Well, not on the big screen, but this is going to be to Prime Video. But actually, now that I think about it, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger mentioned he's doing like a old man Conan movie, or I think there's another Conan movie that's currently in maybe pre-development. I don't know if it's entered production as of yet, but I do believe that's something that they're working on. But an animated Conan the Barbarian from Tartakovsky, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Sign me up, please. We also did get brand new um, trailer for an upcoming Batman Caped Crusader season 2. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check out season 1 for yourself, but season 2 is set to go ahead and drop July 29th. To be fair, I don't think I ever finished the first season. I have it still on my continue watching list every time that I open up my Prime. So I got to go ahead and finish that. Maybe that'll be what I'll do before I dive into season 2. This is going to be for, again, season 2's July 29th trailer, or July 29th release. Let me see if I can go ahead and bring up this trailer for you guys in case you haven't had the opportunity to see it for yourself. Let's go ahead and watch it together. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. Again, this is going to be the Cape Crusader season 2 trailer. Let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna put on my, make sure I can hear this too. Here we go.
We are losing this fight.
Not a fight anymore, boss. It's a war.
It's our job to protect this city, no one else's.
Yeah, you and your bat buddy.
When we get rid of the Batman, Gotham will be ours.
Oh, is that a poison ivy?
Some in Gotham call the so-called Batman a hero. But I'm not.
I love that. First off, yeah, it looks like a poison ivy to me almost. I kind of dig the spikes on the necklace and everything. That's a great look.
Some in Gotham.
When I first saw this, this weapon use of the whip. First off, just because I have not finished all of season 1 as of yet, I can't recall if he used this whip or not. But for some reason, 2 people come to mind immediately. Catwoman. I saw this. I'm like, oh, is Catwoman here? And then I think of it's not Panthro, Tigra from Thundercats. He had the whips with like the 3 balls on the end. That's immediately who comes to mind when I see this weapon.
Call the so-called Batman a hero.
I love this shot first and foremost with the moonlight, and the weapon of choice kind of I think kind of works for the time period that they're going for in here. But this is a great shot.
But I ask, rescue.
I wonder if she's like the toy maker. I don't, or maybe she's the Mad Hatter. I don't know. The hat design, the clothing design. She seems like a, I don't want to say a toy man to me because that feels very much more like a Superman. But maybe I wonder if this is like a different version of the Mad Hatter here. I don't know. We'll see.
Has the Batman made your children safer?
Now it's a party!
Daylight robberies, random shootings, more in the last 3 weeks than in all of last year.
Nobody's crossing this Riddler guy.
I'm running things.
The whole city's on the verge of panic.
This kind of chaos can spin out of control.
Then it's down to you. Again.
Pennyworth, it's me. I need the
Oh, I love this shot. This is a beautiful shot right here.
car.
Oh, like a rocket man?
Dress like bats and do detective work for free.
Oh, Harley Quinn is back.
Dead, you get me? Dead! Dead! Dead!
Oh, Man Bat.
I've come to awaken you.
To show you
Show me what?
what you are.
Ooh,
Shall we begin?
the Joker. This is a dope logo too, by the way. I love this logo of like the Gotham cityscape with the lights. This says new season July 31st. The poster said July 29th, so we are getting conflicting release dates here. But yeah, that is the trailer for the new Batman season 2, Batman Caped Crusader. If you guys have had the opportunity to check out the first season, let me know your guys' thoughts in regards to what you thought about it, your anticipation level also for season 2. But yeah, let me know your guys's thoughts in regards. So I gotta finish it, man. I gotta finish season 1 for sure. I like some of the changes, especially for the time period that that series is set in. And then last but not least, for honorable mentions, we did get some brand new images from the set of Daredevil Born Again. This might be kind of spoilerish for those of you who oh, real quick before Frankie, shout out to Frankie in the house. Not a fan of all the choices of the Cape Crusader season 1, but I watched the whole thing, love the style, the mood, and the ambiance. Excited for second season. That's great news, Frankie. I'm really glad to hear that, even despite some of the changes that you weren't necessarily the biggest fans of, the fact that you still thought it was a solid season to look forward to season 2. Great to hear, man. Great to hear. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it and checking out the second season myself. This may be spoiler territory for some of you who do not want to see how production for season 3 of Daredevil Born Again is certainly going. We do have some new set photos that do reveal some things in regards to season 3 of Daredevil Born Again. So if you don't want to be spoiled, come back in like a minute. I do want to highlight some new images. So leave now and come back in a minute if you don't want to be spoiled. But let's go ahead and dive into this. Daredevil season 2 or season 3 set photos have been revealed. And we have none other than the return of one. If this thing will ever load up for me, come on, image. Elektra. That's right. Elektra is back. They got the actress from season 2 of the Daredevil Netflix series that played Elektra to certainly return. Maybe not the most photogenic image of her, but we do have some brand new images. She is back. She got herself a whole new looking costume, looking great if you ask me. She will be back for season 3 of Daredevil Born Again. I love to see this. Look there. I if I can be honest, I feel like I'm like sitting on the fence right now because I was a really big fan of what they were able to do in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. It was definitely a rehabilitation if you ask me from season 1. But I am one of those people that while I appreciate the direction and what they were able to do with characters like Bullseye and Kingpin and things like that, I am just ready to explore other characters from Daredevil. Now, I know like maybe this is like it just suggests as to how maybe poor or irrelevant other Daredevil villains and rogues gallery characters truly are to Daredevil. That anytime we get a Daredevil project, you have to focus in some way, shape, or form on 3 people: Kingpin, Elektra, and Bullseye. It's like we cannot divert from these 3 ever. And it's just these 3 characters that seemingly are in like every season of Daredevil, going back to Netflix season 1 sort of thing. Um, at some point in time, I am ready as a viewer to move on. Like the fact that Bullseye is coming back again for season 3, like why? Why does Bullseye need to be in this show? Like we've had a great 2 seasons with that man, from Netflix season 3 to Daredevil Born Again. Wasn't he in season? I can't remember if he was in. Was he in Born Again season 1? Yeah, he was in Born Again season 1. He had an even bigger role in Born Again season 2. I don't need Bullseye around every single season. And the fact that we are now getting Elektra, I'm really thrilled and happy to have her back. But like we've used this character before, so I am looking to kind of see how what the new storyline is potentially going to be. I do know that we have like more Defender characters coming back, Luke Cage and Iron Fist, so that definitely does kind of add a little bit of a wrinkle to Daredevil Born Again season 3. But again, while I'm excited to certainly see her back, there's a part of me that's kind of also at the same time ready to move past some of these characters and take a swing in either creating brand new characters for this show, or creating brand new villains, or finding some other villain inside of Daredevil's rogues gallery that can make just as big an impact, or that they can take some liberties to change around a little bit and make them a bigger threat than maybe what they even are in the comic books. But it's something I would love to see. But regardless, I'm happy to see that she's back. She looks great. Elektra stories are usually pretty interesting, so we'll see what they do this time around with a returning Elektra for season 3. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to some of those brand new images that we certainly have. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, I think that will probably do it for our honorable mentions portion of the show. Let's get into our main topics, shall we? Let's go ahead and kick off this show with our main topics. We got a lot to certainly talk about, man. This is going to be animated heavy for you guys. Warner Brothers Animation, DC Animation had some huge announcements for us earlier this week. And it feels like that's everything that's happening on my like Twitter algorithm right now. Where should we begin? I've got you know what, because there's not as many announcements for this one, there's a part of me that wants to kick things off a little bit with some WB animation announcements. But again, this is coming to us from Annecy Festival 2026. This was in fact an animation sort of festival. So that's really what everything was highlighting. But Warner Brothers and DC Animation kicked us off with some really great titles that we can kind of look forward to. One of them, and first and foremost, being the idea that Thundercats, believe it or not, is back in the news. It's been a minute since we've had an update in regards to Thundercats. The last time I remember hearing anything about Thundercats was shortly after the release of the brand new Godzilla versus Kong movie. What was it, the Empire something? I can't remember what it was. But fresh off of that, I remember the director Adam Wingard being announced to tackle a Thundercats movie. After that announcement, though, and Adam Wingard kind of talking about what he wants to do with the movie itself, we haven't heard anything. So I'm not even quite sure, to be frank with you, if this announcement is the same project as Adam Wingard's movie. I know he's talked about the challenge of trying to do it in live action and that it may kind of be a little bit more reliant on some CG elements. So I don't know if this is the same project that was announced over at Annecy Festival, but let us go ahead and highlight it for you because this comes to us from Playlist. It says Warner Brothers Pictures Animation announces Thundercats movie. Is this director Adam Wingard's version? So they have the same question that we certainly do surrounding this project, if this is the same thing. It says the 1985's animated Thundercats has had a bit of a revival in the last 15 years. They had the reimagining of the series in 2011 at Cartoon Network, which was great. And then really, like, if we're talking about animated series way too short-lived, the 2011 Cartoon Network Thundercats way too short-lived. And then there was also another 2020 version, Thundercats Roar, that attempted to make a more silly version, taking cues from more modern shows like Adventurous Time and Steven Universe. In the wake of those shows in 2021, that MonsterVerse director Adam Wingard will be tackling a feature film at Warner Brothers that would be a mix of CGI and traditional animated elements. So it was already kind of teased that the Thundercats movie may already have those elements. But at the Annecy Film Festival, they did announce that they would be developing an animated film. However, it's unclear if this is replacing Wingard's film, if that project is pivoting to strictly animation or something entirely new that will be happening alongside of it. Sadly, there are lots of unknowns going on here with this news, so we'll have to be a tad patient to learn more about what exactly is happening here with this animated film that was announced. So back in March of 2024, Adam Wingard did call his Thundercats movie a priority and was writing a script with longtime creative partner Simon Barrett. So yeah, so it looks like so they have announced it, but they haven't really given us any other information outside of that. Again, we don't know if this is Adam Wingard's movie or not. The fact that he did call this a priority back in 2024, this was like about 2 years ago or so. I mean, certainly would line up if you've been trying to crack sort of like a script or maybe even do like pre-visuals. I don't even know necessarily how far, like if they announced it, I don't know how far into like pre-production they currently are right now, but they seem fully fledged on doing something Thundercats related, because again, they were announcing a Thundercats project all the way back in 2021. This comes as interesting timing for me, especially fresh off of something like Masters of the Universe, another 80s property getting turned into some level of movie. I you know, the live action route for He-Man for me certainly works. The fact that Travis Knight definitely has that animation kind of vision to bring He-Man to life in a live action form definitely works. But we are seeing sort of like the box office hit that it's kind of taken, despite how critics and audiences are receiving Masters of the Universe as a really enjoyable film. It hasn't necessarily resonated at the box office. But we've talked about this before in the sense that Prime is really focusing more on the success of what Masters of the Universe is going to be on their streaming service compared to actual box office for them. So I do wonder if the idea of going to the animation route for WB might be the smarter way to go. You know, I've even heard Travis Knight, fresh off of Masters of the Universe, talk about like if there was any other 80s property he would love to make in live action or try to attempt to make, it would be Thundercats. But even he, who's an animation like visionary, talks about the difficulties of being able to do a live action version of Thundercats. I would assume that that budget, just based off of like makeup, CGI, special effects, VFX work, would probably be like just absurd. And I do wonder, I do wonder if Thundercats would has a bigger footprint in regards to pop culture than something like He-Man. Like I do wonder if more people are aware of what Thundercats is compared to He-Man. But regardless, the fact that this is going to be an animated feature film, I think would be an interesting one. Maybe as much as I would love a live action Thundercats, I am kind of curious as to the type of animation style that they might go for something like Thundercats in here. But I'm open to it. Like I'm open to anything that will bring Thundercats to the big screen again, or even the small screen here. So I do think WB is definitely weighing their options. Maybe after seeing something like Masters of the Universe, maybe the idea of like, okay, maybe we can build something here, but let's go sort of the animation route, maybe not take too much of a financial risk in that area. But I would be kind of curious to see like the animation style for something like a Thundercats. But the fact that Warner Brothers Animation was talking about it seems like they're fully on board to actually bringing um, Thundercats to life once again. So I am very much looking forward to that. But that's not the only thing that Warner Brothers Animation announced. Fresh off of the failure that was the Powerpuff Girls live action television series that was supposed to be on CW, Powerpuff Girls are back in the news. Deadline is reporting that Warner Brothers is in talks for the rights to Powerpuff Girls. They're eyeing an animated feature to develop. Let me go ahead and bring up this article also. Again, this came to us from the Annecy Animated Festival. According to them, this is from Power Deadline again. Warner Brother Picture Animation is in talks to get the rights so that they can make another animated Powerpuff Girls movie based on the hit cartoon series. This was first teased during an animation segment at CinemaCon, then apparently teased again at Annecy today in the Warner reel. Craig McCracken credited the Powerpuff Girls. Okay, this is like talking about yada yada yada. At one point, a live action Powerpuff Girls was in development, depicting the protest 20 somethings, but the series didn't move forward. Looks like that's the end of the article there. So they are going to be bringing Powerpuff Girls to the big screen, certainly once again. Probably the safer bet, if you ask me. I definitely do think that there is a I definitely do think there's an audience for more Powerpuff Girls. I appreciate them trying to take a big swing at the live action stuff, but it just unfortunately didn't work for them. But you know, Powerpuff Girls, I think, certainly belong in animation form. So I got no problem with this one. I think this will be pretty interesting. Peg C says, if they're going to make a Thundercats movie, who's the target audience that's going to see the movie? Right. I mean, so I definitely do think they're certainly banking on older millennials for sure, maybe some millennials to certainly come out. And that's really the question that I have in regards to like how big is Thundercats footprint on pop culture, right? Like I think almost the symbol for Thundercats is relatively iconic. I think a lot of people, if you pull up the symbol, have you seen this symbol before? They'd be like, oh, yeah, I've seen that before. As to whether or not they know what that symbol means or what it represents, that I don't know. You would definitely have to, you know, I think the biggest struggle is trying to make these movies connect with certainly the younger audience. And if you're trying to take IP from the 80s and make it more relevant today, you know, you definitely have your niche audience base. But whether or not you can make it appealing enough for others to certainly come out will be interesting. Even though they say, look, Thundercats is set to be an animated feature film, they could change course and still do the movie, but make it just an exclusive to HBO Max or something like that, right? When the time comes, if they don't think that they can get their money back, box office wise. But maybe some studios are now kind of, I don't want to say they're now taking the Prime Video model, but I would be very interested to see with Prime or Amazon Prime taking the financial risks with Masters of the Universe, but recognizing that the payoff is not the box office. The payoff is what it does streaming wise. I do wonder if somebody like a HBO Max or WB, if they would kind of take that same risk, right? If they would want to put it out in theaters, knowing that the box office isn't the end goal, it's the idea of what can this movie do for us from a streaming kind of perspective. That'll be certainly the key. And I also find it interesting too, and I've always thought that this is what streaming was going to do, in the sense of you release it in theaters, you allow it to gain word of mouth, let that build up for a certain period of time, and then I don't want to say you hold it off, but then you make the idea of it premiering on your streaming service down the block, like a little bit further on down the block, make that into a bigger thing. And then the payoff be for the shareholders and things like that on the streaming service. So we'll see if other studios that have streaming services, if they're willing to take those same kind of bets. But we'll see. Marcelin says, I hope when Thundercats, they put in some elements of Lord of the Rings, where in terms of the serious tone, it would complement well. I wish instead of they brought the 2011 Thundercats cartoon, it was a good reintroduction to the general public. Yeah, I did think it was a good introduction for sure. But yeah, I don't know what tone that they're certainly going to go for. I mean, I do think that there are aspects of the Thundercats, the world of Thundera, that they can really kind of sink their teeth into and really build a great lore and mythology around. But we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do with it. But yeah, so Warner Brothers Animation talking highly about Powerpuff Girls, doing something there along with Thundercats. But again, it wasn't just WB Animation. We also had DC Animation drop some really big and pivotal things that we certainly need to talk about. We do have some brand new animated series that they officially announced. There's a couple here, so bear with me. The biggest one of them all was, in fact, an absolute Batman animation series. That's right. You've heard it here. An animated series for the beloved Absolute Batman series. Absolute Batman is a current series in DC Comics that is ongoing right now. It's written by Scott Snyder, fresh off of his incredible Batman run that he had for like 50 plus issues with Greg Capullo. They wanted him to come back to do more Absolute Batman, and to do more Batman, and in turn he has created Absolute Batman. Now, this is Absolute Batman's like one of the highest selling comic books currently right now for DC Comics. I think we're probably in our 20s issue count wise. So it's been going on for quite some time now, and they've decided to go ahead and turn this current comic book run into an animation series, and people are kind of liking this and comparing this to what they do from like a manga to anime adaptation sort of thing. How Japan overseas, they take these really popular manga titles and they wind up turning them into anime series, and especially if you're DC Comics and you've got some really great stellar stories that are need to be told. I love this idea. Like, I truly love this idea. This is a really great fresh take on who the Batman character is in a much sort of darker world. And I think from a societal point of view, based off of what this Batman is certainly fighting against, you know, it couldn't have come at a better time. But let's go ahead and dive into some of this. This is from Variety. It says Absolute Batman, Crypto, and an anime DC series, Joker Laugh Riot, unveiled at first DC Studios Warner Brothers Animation Joint Showcase. Let me go ahead and pull up this article, and we'll talk about this together and get some more insight in regards to what we can expect from this series. Let me pull this up here. All right. So let's see. Batman and animation fans in the Annecy audience went wild as Peter Safran unveiled the 3 projects on stage alongside Warner Brothers animation showrunners and executive producers who shared first looks and creative insights into the next era of DC animation. As anime builds huge traction in the US and global markets, Warner Brothers Animation and DC Studios are teaming up. Oh, you know what? I think they first highlight. Oh, yeah, I think they first highlight this other project here first. Let me. They are teaming up with Sola Entertainment to bring Joker Laugh Riot. Let me pull that up here for you guys. Yeah. To fans worldwide, helmed by Chow O award-winning director Yashiro Aoki, who previously worked on Warner Brothers animation feature The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. The trailblazing show will take viewers alongside the Joker as he launches a ruthless crusade through Gotham's underworld to find Batman's killer, who took away his greatest adversary and incidentally his own kill. But as his violent quest for answers pushes him closer towards vigilante than villain, Joker is forced to confront the truth that without Batman, he doesn't know who he is. This brand new anime series comes from WBA, and DC continue to push more anime content. First off, I was a really big fan of The War of the Rohirrim. I'm a little bit bummed that it didn't do so well at the box office. I mean, animation wise, I was really blown away by the animation. So if it's by the same company that's doing a Joker Laugh Riot, I'm all here for it. I actually even really enjoy the premise of this, pushing the Joker to the point of almost vigilanteism, and him having to kind of question the idea of his own identity of who he is when Batman is certainly no longer around, right? Like when your greatest adversary, the person that you thought you were going to be the one to kill, gets killed before you. I kind of like it. It feels like a situation that I'm trying to think of, like past Batman or Joker comics. Again, I'm not heavily invested in a lot of Batman or Absolute Batman prior to this year, really. So I'm not too keen on every single storyline that they've tackled before. But the idea of Joker being pushed to the point of almost vigilanteism is an interesting one. Not to say, you know, I don't say the Joker ever redeeming himself, because it seems like he's very much a violent vigilante. But the idea of him being put into this situation, I find it kind of appealing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to that. And just a quick side note too, like the fact that Variety recognizes that anime is having such a huge push in the USA as of right now, it continues to bewilder me, some of the moves that Paramount Pictures made when it comes to the Legend of Aang story, the movie itself, and not releasing it theatrically. You know, we've talked about the idea. It's just like, if you look at some of the most recent animes that have been released on the big screen here in the US, they've been doing incredible numbers box office wise. So why you would take an American anime series and instead of releasing it theatrically, just release it on your streaming service. When even Variety points out the idea that anime here in the US is kind of taking off, it really like boggles my mind, some of the decisions that Paramount wind up making in regards to that movie, and in turn really hurting itself. Also, going back to the Absolute Batman, it says um, in front of the best audience in the world of animation, the announcement of an adaptation of Absolute Batman, the award-winning and best-selling DC comic series, was met with raucous applause and cheers from the crowd. So they were pumped about this announcement. Register and Saffron unveiled the new adult animated series project, written also by Scott Snyder, so with art by Nick Dragotta. As creators shared first look images of the upcoming series, Scott Snyder will serve as an executive producer and showrunner. So the fact that they are getting the writer himself of Absolute Batman to not only be the writer for the animated adult series, but also the showrunner, I think just spells greatness for this show. So you can definitely keep the same inspiration from the comics going straight into the animated world itself. I do think some of the details that came out about this suggested that it might be more CG oriented than anything else. If I could find, let me just see if I can find the image for this. I thought there was some other details that weren't necessarily. Yes, is it'll be an adult CG animated series. So I don't know exactly what that CG element is going to look like, but it will be more CG heavily related. The comic series has sold more than 6 million copies to date. So check it out. If you are a big Batman fan, please go ahead and do so. They also announced beyond adult animation, they also revealed a new crypto animated series that's been greenlit. The series currently is under development, follows Crypto as he tags along with a gang of misfit criminal wannabes who live down the block. They soon discover he's a ball of destructive, lovable energy worse than any of them. As he accompanies them into misadventures and poorly laid plans, Crypto's pure nature slowly ends up redeeming them, whether they want it or not. So those are the 3 series that have been greenlit from Warner Brothers. So definitely some brand new things to really look forward to. And I kind of appreciate some of the big swings that DC continues to definitely take here. The idea of getting more Joker in anime form is fascinating to me. They kind of did the anime form for the Batman Samurai stuff, and that really worked for me also. DC animation is always on top of things, it certainly feels like, whether like the movie stuff, the animated stuff, they do really great work. And so I'm kind of keen on what DC animation does, so I'm going to definitely be looking forward to those 2 projects, Joker Laugh Riot and Absolute Batman. So definitely keep an eye on that. But that's not the only thing that we got animation wise. I mean, I'm telling you, they showcased a ton of stuff. We also got some Mr. Miracle information. Let's see what they talked about here. So, Mr. Miracle wise, during the presentation, concept art was shown of Scott-free Mr. Miracle, along with Big Barda, Orion, Highfather, Granny Goodness, and Darkseid. Though no casting news was announced, it was noted that the voice actors would be expected to portray their live action counterparts. The early looks reflect a strong effort to reflect Gerard's amazing artwork, a goal that King believes the animated adaptation is achieving. So they feel pretty adamant. That's the aspect of Mr. Miracle if anything, that I am really looking forward to and waiting to hear back more on is really going to be the animation, the actors. Who's going to be cast in these particular roles? Because it does feel as that at some point in time, they will be getting a live action, whether that be live action movie or some level of adaptation at some point in time. So it doesn't look like we're going to be giving voice actors the opportunity to really portray these roles for this series. These roles are definitely going to be going to big time actors in that regards. So yeah, so while no announcements have been made in that regards, concept art was at least shown. So we'll see I'm hoping that when we get to something like San Diego Comic-Con, I don't know if DC plans on being at San Diego Comic-Con or not, but I would like to see further details in regards to series like this. We also got an update in regards to Creature Commandos. Creature Commando Season 2. It says, after a look at the new The Bride led team was showed. It looks like the new team is going to also include Callus, King Shark, and Nosferatu being the new members. They also did some quick teasers were dropped. Viewers can expect a really strong and emotional character arc for the very upgraded GI robot. As for the Charlie XCX inspired Nosferatu, don't expect her dynamic with the bride to be smooth sailing. So we're gonna have Nosferatu and the bride looks like coming to blows with each other at some point in time. But the really strong and emotional character arc for somebody like G.I. Rowe fascinates me. He was one of my favorite characters out of season 1. Kind of, really emotionally wrecked me when they sort of took him out of the game here. But the fact that we see him return by the finale a little bit with his upgrade, I am kind of curious to see what they do with his character kind of going forward here. But it does look as though season 2 is definitely making some progress when it comes to Creature Commandos. So definitely look forward to that. What else did they highlight? We also got Starfire in the news. The Starfire animation series. It says set in Vega Galaxy, the kids animated series will feature Hayden Walsh returning as the lead and leading a team of alien girls, Crush, Fern, and Amethysts. In addition, viewers can expect Gotham City to come to play, as well as other corners of the non-Earthbound U, including Lobo. Attendees were also treated to a short clip from the series showing Starfire and Blackfire in on one-on-one. So that should be interesting too. A non-Earthbound DCU, including Lobo. I mean, it does say DC Studios Starfire, so I don't really know how connect. Like, I don't think that these animated series are connected to the overall DCU, but it would be interesting if they got Jason Momoa to voice his Lobo. But if it takes place outside of the DCU, then it wouldn't surprise me if they just pick somebody else to voice them. We also get another update in regards to my adventures with Green Lantern. It says, after getting a brief introduction to Jessica Cruz in the most recent episode of My Adventures with Superman, we learn a little bit more about the spinoff. It says, set in Los Angeles, it seems Hal Jordan Memorial High will be Jessica's main stomping grounds. The series will focus on Jessica's journey to understand what it means to be a Green Lantern, with folks like Kyle Rayner playing major roles in Jessica's high school life. Those attending the Annecy sessions were treated to a clip of Carvalho reciting the Green Lantern oath as Jessica transforms, and appears some non-green ring wielders will be getting in on the action as well. I mean, I would have loved to have seen that clip of Carvalho reciting the Green Lantern oath as Jessica transforms. I am hearing information takes some influences from Sailor Moon, which I would really be looking very forward to seeing how that how that comes into play, like just visually, like how that looks. But yeah, it definitely looks as though we're going to be getting ourselves a Sailor Moon like transformation for Jessica Cruz here. And the idea that they say like Kyle Rayner's playing a major role in Jessica's high school life, isn't Kyle Rayner like an artist? I wonder if he's like their art teacher or something like that. I hope he's not like the same level, like the same age as Jessica, and they're like friends. I would like a little bit of an older Kyle Rayner, not super old, but old enough to be a teacher. So like to play a major role in her high school life feels like something that a teacher would be. So maybe Kyle plays like her art teacher in here or something like that. Even got themselves a little bit of an update. Let me see if I can pull this one up. It says DC superpowers. If you want to be a licensed hero in the universe of this 80s toy line inspired animated universe, then you have to attend Justice League Academy. Though we're still not sure whether they'll be playing Hogwarts like roles in this series, but you'll have Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Black Canary, Mr. Terrific, and other adult characters will be in play. As for the student body, it seems like Black Lightning, Jessica Chambers, The Flash, Plastic Man, Terra, Aquagirl, and Guy Gardner Green Lantern will be on the roster, and that includes Guy's bowl haircut. We're liking the concept. It says, as a student successfully performs during their training and studies, they receive permanent power upgrades. For example, Black Lightning light mask upgrade during the series of training missions on its monsters, the importance of teamwork, protecting civilians, and more. So that's definitely a new aspect to the DC Studios superpower. Again, I'm not sure exactly like if they're connected into the DCU in any shape or form. I gotta assume not though, because if we're talking about the student body being the Green Lantern's Guy Gardner being on the roster as a student body, he's got to be younger, I would assume. So yeah, I don't think this is like a prequel to Superman or anything like that. Like Guy Gardner's school adventures before becoming a full-fledged superhero. I don't think it's in that regards, but it is so I have a feeling that some of these animated stuff, maybe the kids oriented stuff will probably be more non like Elseworld stuff, if you catch my drift. But yeah, that was all the big announcements and updates from the DC animation and WB animation side of things. Again, I'm really excited for a lot of these projects. Mr. Miracle, I'm really excited for. That's definitely going to be DCU oriented, especially if the cast and crew is going to be um, doing something more live action at some point in time. Creature Commando season 2. I'm looking forward to that. I had a blast with season 1. So we'll see what they do there. My Adventures with Green Lantern seems promising. I haven't really watched My Adventures with Superman, so I'll probably I definitely need to get on board with My Adventures with Superman. But the other stuff kind of hit or miss for me, but we'll see we'll see what they do with some of these things as we get further and further looks at them. Speaking, this isn't necessarily animation wise. Well, you know what? Since we are on the thing of animation, maybe I should bring this up also. They also announced Batman Nightfall Part 1. We were fortunate to get ourselves a brand new trailer for this as well, to really give us a brand new look in regards to what this movie is going to be. This is going to be a 3-part trilogy here, an animated trilogy, if you will. Part 1, I believe, releasing next year, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I'm trying to find the trailer for it now so we can talk a little bit about it. You know what? I'm gonna have to search for it because I don't believe I. Yeah, let me search for this real quick. Batman Nightfall trailer. Okay, yeah, I located it. It's only like a minute long, but that's okay. All right. right, here we go. Let me bring this up for you guys. Let's check out this Batman Nightfall trailer. Here we go.
Gotham City needs Batman.
Batman, you haven't slept since Arkham exploded 2 days ago. Maybe we should ask John Paul for help. His training is coming along.
We're all that stands between those.
You know, it's been a minute since I've read the Nightfall series itself. You know, they say the fact that John Paul is coming along with this training pretty well. Did he, you know, how long was John Paul a thing for in the Batman comics prior to Nightfall kind of taking place? It sounds like it's almost like when he talks about their training, it almost seems like Robin and Batman are very much aware. Like, has he always been, did they bring him into training to be Batman's backup if anything were to certainly happen? I can't remember. Like, I can't remember. I remember him being thrusted into the role. I just can't remember his connection to Bruce Wayne or Batman in regards to being thrown into this situation. But I love the animation style here.
Exploded 2 days ago. Maybe we should ask John Paul for help. His training is coming along.
We're all that stands between those inmates and the fall of.
Yo, that Mr. Freeze looks incredible. This animation art style does remind me of like late 90s Batman art.
Gotham.
They say you are the greatest detective. And yet you did not see this coming. I intend to break you.
Then give it.
Dude, look how big this dude is. When his arms grow, look at the size of my man's head. Look at the size of my man's head compared to his arms. Oh my God.
I intend to break you.
Then give it your best shot.
Let chaos reign in Gotham.
Woo.
We have to help Batman.
Suit up.
Well, that's a gritty new look for the Dark Knight.
Something else is going on out there.
Woo. The Azrael suit looks incredible, dude. Oh my God. Oh, tell me that's not cool. Tell me that is not cool.
Come get some.
Hey, Nightwing. Oh, Nightwing facing off against Nightfall Batman. Yo, I love the design.
The guilty must pay.
Yes, dude. Yo, I remember getting this comic book back in the day. I had the I don't know if all of them came like this or not. What was it, Batman? I don't remember what issue it was. Was it 700, 800 about? I can't even remember. But it literally had, it was a cover that had Batman, like our Bruce Wayne Batman, using his grappling hook, like going through the cityscape of Gotham. And then when you open it, it was like a hardcover or like a cardboard flap of traditional Batman. And then when you opened it up, it was the same exact pose, but it was John Paul in this Batman costume. It was one of my favorite comic book covers. Coming soon. So yeah, no release date yet on when that plans on arriving just yet. I don't even know. I don't expect it to be on the big screen. If anything, I would expect it to go to like Blu-ray and 4K Blu-rays or whatever the fuck they are selling media in these days, and then maybe straight to streaming. But yeah, man, looking really forward to Batman Nightfall. We posted it up on our YouTube. We posted it up over on our Facebook page. This thing's got over like 15,000. Your reel hit 25K plays. I got an announcement 2 days ago that the trailer that we posted for Batman Nightfall has over 25,000 views already. It's people are really excited for that project for sure. And then speaking of Batman, there is more Batman news, believe it or not, because the dynamic duo the upcoming DC Studios Elseworlds project dynamic duo that's going to be done by the animated studio. It's going to be focusing very much on two Robins, one in Dick Grayson, along with Jason Todd. We actually got more information in regards to this, and I'm actually finding it even more and more exciting. Let's go ahead and highlight this one for you guys. Let me bring up this article. This one is from Comic Book Movie, saying that the DC's Studios dynamic duo is actually a Robin versus Red Hood movie. That's right. I was not expecting that news at all. It says DC Studios and Swaybox dynamic duo will feature a combination of miniatures, models, puppetry, animatronics, and computer animation. It may or may not be set in the DCU, but it is expected to be a standalone, out of continuity adventure similar to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And that's really what kind of excites me when this was announced. Whether or not it's a DCU property or just outside of the DCU, just based off of who they got in regards to Swaybox doing the animation style and just how unique it is, just reminds me of the big swing that Sony decided to take with the Into the Spider-Verse. I think this movie is gonna hit just like that. It's as much has been said about the movie revolving around both Dick Grayson and Jason Todd potentially being Robin at the time, especially as it contradicts their respective comic book arcs. 500 Days of Summer writer Scott, I'm not even going to pronounce his last name, were tapped to rewrite the script last September, and we now have a better idea of what direction they're taking Dick and Jason in, and it isn't what we initially expected. Warner Brothers Animation revealed that the dynamic duo follows Jason and Dick as a couple of street rats who name themselves the dynamic duo. So we've already known that in the comic books, at least, Jason Todd is very much the street rat, that's struggling to survive on the street, jacking cars, jacking tires, whatever the case may be. But apparently in this story, Jason and Dick Grayson are a couple of street rats. So they're clearly like friends working together. Maybe after the death of Dick Grayson's parents, maybe instead of being adopted by Batman, maybe he found himself on the street as well. Eventually they go their separate ways, with Dick joining Batman as Robin and Jason becoming a member of the Red Hood gang. So Robin versus Red Hood, it certainly sounds that way, though this means Jason won't be suiting up as the Cape Crusaders Boy Wonder. The rap also adds there was one beautiful test shot of the Red Hood walking through a subway car, as the director said, when Todd looks in the shiny reflective hood helmet, he sees himself. When Dixon looks at the helmet, he sees something very different. Though no footage or images were officially released, we do have some insights into how Batman and the Red Hood gang will be portrayed in the dynamic duo. So it says, first look at they have similar designs to the below images. So it seems as though maybe the Batman in this world takes some inspirations from the absolute Batman design, but the Red Hood gang very much feels like classic Red Hood to me in that regards. So I kind of like this premise. This does not feel like it fits in the DCU, but I'm just thinking from like an animation style perspective from Swaybox, them kind of taking the swing on the idea that two friends that used to live on the streets together, clearly taken into two separate paths. I do wonder if there's levels of resentment and animosity towards each other, especially when you start getting Dick Grayson becoming the Robin under Batman, but Jason's luck just wasn't there in regards to him being picked by Batman. I do wonder if Jason will view Dick Grayson completely differently. And when Dick Grayson learns of Jason sort of being under the Red Hood, how he kind of views the idea of like just both their lives kind of taking two completely different paths, but leading them to the same spot sounds just crazy to me. And so, the more and more I'm telling you, man, I cannot sleep on this. I cannot sleep on this. The more and more that I hear of DC Studios' dynamic duo, the more I'm really fascinated and interested in. If the writing is certainly going to be there, I think the animation style alone will really carry this movie to just something really, really special. So I'm very, very much looking forward to this one here. I did not know what direction that they were going to go with this, but seeing that it might be a Robin versus Red Hood dynamic of two street rats that used to be very close together, I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. Let's see here. Some shout out to Blossom for certainly joining us today. We appreciate you coming through. I guess I can give a movie of Thundercats a shot. I am curious if you've ever watched the animated series in any capacity. Apexi says, I will for sure check out Absolute Batman, but also looking forward to Batman Nightfall. DC Animation has had some hits and misses. He also says, "Are they going to do a My Adventures with Batman next?" I don't think so. I think right now the My Adventure stuff might be placed on hold. I really do think that this outside of what they're doing for My Adventures with Green Lantern season 1, and I don't even know if I don't know how far into My Adventures My Adventures with Superman season 4 they might be, if that's currently even in production as of yet. But I almost feel like the My Adventures series in general might hit a little bit of a pause until there's more clarity in regards to what's going to happen with this Paramount and Warner Brothers merger, because it could be a case that they may not even move forward with like a season 2 of My Adventures with Green Lantern and things like that. So we'll have to see. It looks great. I'm assuming you're talking about the Batman Nightfall. It's been a minute since I read the comic of Nightfall. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen it myself, or I've read it myself. So I might have to go ahead and revisit it. I don't think I've read it since the 90s, if I'm being honest. Marcelino, it'll also be a nice change of pace for Red Hood's origin instead of having him die all the time. Yeah, that certainly would be nice. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with the origin story here. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to all the big DC animation news. If there's any particular DC project you're looking forward to the most out of all of these announced, please let me know your thoughts and really what stands out to you guys. So yeah, I'd love to know what you guys are thinking so far. All right, guys, and with that out of the way, let's go ahead and change gears a little bit. And no pun intended, but Gears of War is in fact back in the news. Video game adaptions have been very popular these days, whether they be movie form or especially television form. They've been really just doing incredible numbers. But Gears of War, very popular IP in the video game world, is in fact getting a live action movie. And Entertainment Weekly this week was nice enough to actually give us some first look sort of plot details in regards to what we can expect from this movie. It's been a minute since I think we've heard anything in regards to it. So let's go ahead and dive into this one. Let me see if I can bring up my banners. Live action Gears of War reveals first plot. This is from Entertainment Weekly. A Netflix movie, the origin story of Delta Squad, is what it says here. Delta Squad is in your house, bitch. Okay. Netflix's upcoming Gears of War movie will be officially be an origin story for Delta Squad, the main infantry team of the video game franchise of which it's based. Entertainment Weekly can reveal the first plot details from the live action game to film adaptation. It says the story of Delta Squad, a ragtag of soldiers who wage a desperate war for survival against the Locust, a race of subterranean creatures set on destroying humanity. An official logline description reads. David Lynch The filmmaker who gave us Bullet Train and The Fall Guy, two really enjoyable movies, will direct Netflix's Gears of War. It's going to be written. The writer of the Dune movies is behind the script. John Spates, a writer on the Dune movies, is behind the script. The game really is about the bonds between teams. It's about brotherhood at its core. When you go visit the studio, their tagline is "Never fight alone." So when you think about that for a dynamic, a dramatic narrative, it's a pretty good starting point. I mean, I do like those type of movies that you know that tend to focus on, I want to say, like a ragtag group of soldiers or anything like that. But anytime we get like a World War II movie or any type of war movie, that focuses on like a group of soldiers that have to fight together or build some level of like brotherhood at its core, those are usually pretty dramatic and emotional journeys. So I'm kind of eager to see what they do with it. It says original launched in 2006 with a concept centered around a war between mankind and the locust horde that emerged from beneath the earth on the planet Sarah. In the main game series, you follow Marcus Phoenix, the head of Delta Squad, the team that fought in key conflicts across the companion. It says, in addition to the live action movie, Netflix previously announced plans for an adult animated series based on Gears of War. That one I would actually be really looking forward to. Connects to that animation, that potential adult animated series also. I'm kind of looking forward to this. First off, anytime I think of Gears of War, I think of my cousin Christina, who was a big Gears of War head fan. We would be up on Xbox One sometimes just playing with each other online, playing some Gears of War from time to time. She's like the first person I think of when I think of Gears of War. So I think she would be really excited for this one. Interested to kind of see what Netflix does with this one. If this is something that's going to go straight to the streaming service, will they have a limited time theatrical run of like 14-day window, but then have it as part of their streaming exclusive? That I'm not quite sure. The origin story of a Delta Squad, it does make me wonder, like, if this is, when they say it's an origin story, will this be a true origin story in the sense of like this picks up at the very beginning of the war, like the first battle that kind of ensues and these group of soldiers being put together? Or will it be a movie that takes place sort of like in present day, but somehow flashbacks and reflecting upon how things kind of all started, if it unfolds sort of like as an origin story per se, and gets told from that standpoint. But I do like the idea of like a brother in arms kind of story, different personalities. They all have reasons for fighting in this war. If you're a soldier, if you've been in the military or anything like that, having to trust your comrades, building that camaraderie and that brotherhood is so extremely important. So I really would like to kind of see just like a group of men really emotionally tied and connected together, having to face this like unknown, bigger threat that they've never kind of faced before and really have to rely and lean on each other. I think if they can, with David Leitch and with some of the movies that he's done, especially like Fall Guy and Bullet Train, the choreography, the action pieces are always are always there. But if they can really land on a great writer, they talk about they got the writer from Dune, who clearly is really good at adapting things. Him clearly working along with Denis Villeneuve to adapt these popular books in regards to Dune. I am kind of curious as to how well he's going to be able to also adapt the video game. And if he can kind of take that same mentality of what he did with Dune in regards to being able to adapt it so well to the big screen, I really would love to kind of see what he can do with a world like Gears of War and kind of bringing that to the forefront. So from a creative standpoint, the people behind the camera, I think are solid. And the concept alone of this Gear of War movie is one that kind of fascinates me, especially from just if we're really diving into like the war premise of it all. This one definitely interests me. So we'll see what they wind up doing with this movie. But yeah, Gears of War, as big of an IP as it is video game wise, it is about time that we start getting more of this stuff adapted, whether that be to the big screen, to the small screen, live action, or animation. I do hope that Netflix does some really great things with this, and this isn't a case of like a one and done, or we're gonna change course for things. Is I feel like Netflix has this tendency of announcing these big cinematic universes or these big plans for some of these IPs, and then after the first or second aspect of what they want to create is released, it's just immediately canceled, or they move on to something else. Maybe it just hasn't grabbed the populace, or whatever the case may be. But I do think Gears of War is such a rich IP with some really great storytelling that you could really do something with it. So we'll see how this turns out. And the only thing I would ask is that if the live action Gears of War movie is successful, I do hope that the adult animated series that Netflix also wants to work on might be connected to this in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see what they end up doing there. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to that. I was going to go a little bit of a darker route here, but I might switch things up to kind of continue to keep things a little bit lighthearted in the world of live action stuff. But believe it or not, the Magic School Bus is in the news this week. That's right. The Magic School Bus has been announced to have a movie that is going to be in the works. It's so funny that this news wind up dropping here this week, because I've been really trying to introduce my son, who's like 4.5 right now, to the concept of Saturday morning cartoons. And it's a little unfortunate that he doesn't get to experience Saturday morning cartoons like I used to, with like the Fox Kids lineup and things like that. And so one of the things that I tried to Google this past week or last week was the idea of like, what cartoons if I'm a millennial and I grew up on certain cartoons, like what cartoons should I introduce my son to give him that flavor of Saturday morning cartoons at his age. And one of the titles that came up was the Magic School Bus. And so we have been on a little bit of a Magic School Bus kick as of late in this household. And so it is just kind of funny that this news winds up dropping the week after I've really just started introducing my son to the Magic School Bus, who just has like this huge imagination. He loves space. He loves science. He always got a bunch of questions. So it feels like the Magic School Bus is like perfect for him. So let's go ahead and dive into this, because it's not just that they have a movie in the works, but they have landed on who in fact will star in the Magic School Bus as none other than Miss Frizzle. And it looks as though Elizabeth Banks has wind up picking up this particular role. So let's dive into this. Magic School Bus movie in the works at Legendary, with Elizabeth Banks playing Miss Frizzle. The article goes on to say she is ready to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. Is Elizabeth Banks on the Magic School Bus? She is attached to star as the adventurous teacher, Miss Frizzle, in a live action The Magic School Bus movie, with Legendary getting the rights to make the feature. Rob Letterman will write a treatment and direct, after working with Legendary on Detective Pikachu. So the Detective Pikachu writer is going to be taking over for the Magic School Bus movie. Give me one moment here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull something up while I do this. Okay, there we go. All right. Scholastic, the publisher behind the book series, will also produce the movie. Banks first flirted with a version of the movie back in 2020 when it was set up at Universal. The series followed Miss Frizzle as she took her class out on an out of this world field trips in her yellow school bus that transformed into whatever they needed that day, be it a spaceship or a submarine. The show ran for 52 episodes. Oh, I didn't realize that. There is oh yeah, here it is. Netflix's 2017 series the Magic School Bus rides again as the younger sister of Miss Frizzle. Tomlin also reprised her role for the series, which ran for 3 seasons and 30 episodes. Me and my son are currently going back and forth between both of those. The classic 1994 to 97 series, and I think he just got into the 2017 series as well. As for Letterman, he is already a Scholastic vet after helming the publisher's 2015 Goosebumps movie that starred Jack Black. I do remember that one. I actually enjoyed that Goosebumps movie a little bit. So yeah, it looked as though we are going to be in the Magic School Bus here with Elizabeth Banks helming as Miss Frizzle. I am a big Elizabeth Banks fan. I'm going to be honest though and say this is not necessarily my first choice of casting. There are two other names that really jump out to me that I would be really interested to kind of see if they even got sort of any audition work, or if they even went into audition for this role. The fact that Elizabeth Banks was also picked back in 2020 when this movie was supposed to be done for Universal, I almost wonder if the writers um, inherited Elizabeth Banks from that Universal deal and just decided let's go ahead and bring her over for Miss Frizzle, or if they did have, or if Legendary did have another round of auditions and Elizabeth Banks still won that role or not. That I'll be really fascinated in. She's just not necessarily my first choice for this role. Like I almost feel like ever since Elizabeth Banks did the role under heavy makeup for the Hunger Games movie. She also did Rita Repulsa in Power Rangers under heavy makeup too. It seems as though like these type of characters, I don't want to say that she's um cast herself sort of like, if there's anybody in Hollywood that can do these crazy, outlandish, over the top characters, we got to give that role immediately to Elizabeth Banks. I love Elizabeth Banks. And I think she can do Miss Frizzle just fine. But like I think of like a Catherine Hahn from um the MCU series, as she played Agatha Harkness. Um, I think she would be a great Miss Frizzle if you ask me, just from like her personality, just what she certainly brings to the big screen, very over the top performances when she needs to be. I think Catherine Hahn would have been a really great Miss Frizzle. Somebody even pointed out to me Alex Kingston from Doctor who played the Doctor's sort of love interest. She would have been fantastic as Miss Frizzle. She just got a charm and a great wit and a great sense of humor about her. Very animated, I think, also in her performances, like Catherine Hahn. I think those would have been two really great Miss Frizzles also. Outside of somebody like Elizabeth Banks, but it feels like Elizabeth Banks is sort of Hollywood's go-to when you need characters kind of like this. And again, I do think she'll be a great Miss Frizzle. Don't get me wrong. I think she'll definitely do the part, but I don't necessarily know if she would have been my first choice. I definitely have some other people in mind that I think probably could have done just as good of a role as Elizabeth Banks, if not better, just for this particular role. But this is one I'm definitely going to keep my eye on and look out towards. But I do wonder if I'm going to say if Elizabeth Banks is pigeonholing herself. I just don't want her to only be seen as capable of doing these type of roles when need to. And I hope Hollywood's not afraid to kind of look outside the box, outside of Elizabeth Banks, because she seems like she gets picked a lot for these type of roles. But overall, like I think the Magic School Bus is certainly an IP that spans several different generations. Not if you were just born in the 90s, but early 2000s. Maybe Gen Zers can definitely get behind something like a Magic School Bus type of series, because even though it aired from 94 to 97, I got to imagine if you grew up in the early 2000s in some capacity, you probably also kind of watched the Magic School Bus as well. And the fact that they just had a most recent Netflix series back in 2017 seems like it probably still appeals to a younger generation also. I think this movie will be good for parents to bring their kids to see. Yeah, this will definitely be a 4 quadrant movie. I don't know when it's going to be released, but my son hasn't really, he's 4.5. My son has not really experienced the movie theaters as of yet. Loud noises tend to be, he tends to be really sensitive towards loud noises. So I am kind of curious to see what the movie theater experience would be like for him. I mean, just trying to get him to sit down right now for a full movie is almost nearly impossible. So we're definitely working towards that. But maybe something like the Magic School Bus would be really cool to be able to take him to go see. I personally, as a parent, would love that opportunity. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to um, the Magic School Bus getting itself a feature film starring Elizabeth Banks. All right, guys, with that out of the way, I'm going to take some liberties again here and kind of move another story up as James Bond is back in the news. That's right. Our search for James Bond continues. It's been quite the ride for the James Bond franchise. After the last James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, the IP, the rights to 007 have in fact been sold off to Amazon MGM, who now hold the creative rights and really all the property rights to James Bond. They purchased, I believe, the creative rights from the Broccoli family for some additional money. I've heard reports about like an extra $1 billion or something like that went alone to getting the creative rights to James Bond. And ever since they announced Denis Villeneuve being the director for the upcoming James Bond movie, they've really taken their time in regards to trying to find the next James Bond. We did have some news, I think, last week or a couple of weeks ago in regards to potential auditions taking place. Well, this week it has in fact been confirmed from Deadline.com that yes, auditions not only are taking place, but the next round of auditions is set to unfold as well. So big things are happening behind the scenes for James Bond. Whether or not we have a new James Bond by the end of the year, who certainly knows? But I definitely found this worth talking about. So let's go ahead and bring this up here. James Bond search heats up as producers begin tapping talent to test for role of 007. Next round of auditions to take place in August, according to Deadline. Fans of the James Bond franchise are getting closer to finding out who will next play the iconic spy for future installments. Sources tell Deadline that producers and director Denis Villeneuve have begun informing talent who have made the next round of auditions, which will occur later this summer. So they have, in fact, been auditioning, and according to sources, it sounds as though the people that have auditioned that are being moved to the next round have been contacted. No word on how many that is as of right now. It says Villeneuve has been calling talent directly, and while Deadline has not been able to confirm any names at this time, sources say the auditions are set to take place in August. As for how many actors will test in August, while one source says they expect producers to cast a wide net, the exact numbers of actors is unknown, with some sources saying between 5 to 7, while others have said in the teens. There's a part of me that kind of believes that in the teens aspect of things, at least in the second stage of audition. There's a part of me that thinks maybe another round might be coming. General meetings have been going on with talent all the way back to when Amy Pascal and Davey Heyman were tapped as producers in spring of 2025. Nia Gold, who closed the deal in April to be the casting director of the film, has been meeting with actors for the past several weeks, but sources say those meetings were for more lesser known names to see if anyone should be added to the list of prominent actors expected to get the call in the next round. So this is interesting. So this is really suggesting the idea that more prominent actors seemingly have made it to the next round, whereas there are some lesser known names that are kind of being added to the mix a little bit. So, I don't know which kind of came first. If it does make me curious as to where Amazon is leaning towards. You know, if they are leaning to more prominent actors or more lesser known names. But they do seem like they're adding a little bit of everybody in these auditions. With those auditions wrapping, insiders say Villeneuve and producer Amy Pascal have started making contact with actors over the past week to inform them about August auditions. Actors like Harris Dickinson, Caleb Turner, and Jacob Elordi fit the prototype of who producers are eyeing, but again, no names have been confirmed at this time. Though it still feels like we are ways away from finding out who will play 007, the timing fits the studios having their actors by the end of the year so that production can begin sometime in 2027. So yeah, it looks like they are trying to find out who their next 007 is going to be by the year's end. So yeah, so look, I'm really excited for this news. Why does my thing just not want to focus for me today? It's just really out of focus all day today. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so I'm excited for this. I think a lot of people are certainly going to be excited for this. Hopefully, we start getting a list of short names that wind up getting dropped. Hopefully, by the beginning of fall, especially if some of the auditions that are going to be taking place will be taking place kind of in August. I got to assume maybe by the end of August that they've got their James Bond announced. If anything, I actually would love for their James Bond to be announced and cast before the new Dune movie comes out this year. I think Denis Villeneuve would like that as well, because he probably wants to spend the last half of the year really trying to promote Dune and really not have anything else kind of in the way for him to kind of talk about. I'm sure the 007 stuff will probably come up in some of the press junkets and things that are happening behind the scenes. Whenever he starts promoting Dune 3, it would not surprise me if talk of 007 and his James Bond winds up coming in some of these interviews to really look forward to what he's going to be doing past Dune 3. So I definitely expect by the end of August, end of September, that Amazon certainly has their cast in place, or at least they know who's going to be playing their 007. I am really intrigued in this. I'm really intrigued in this. I like the idea that there are some prominent names. The way the article explains it, though, it feels as though the lesser names aren't maybe as much as of a priority, but they are still like trying to reach out to lesser names and throwing them also into the 007 auditions camp. So it really feels like anybody's game, especially if a lesser known person can really surprise. I don't look, I will say this. I lean lesser known names, but I'm okay if they go the prominent name route. If it's a prominent name that hasn't like taken over Hollywood yet, like a Jacob Elordi hasn't really taken over Hollywood yet for me. I don't necessarily know if I would call him a lesser name, though, because I do think his name carries some weight, but he is still one of those actors that I haven't seen so much of that if I were to see him as James Bond, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's the guy from so and so. You know what I mean? But he has been in some big things, Frankenstein, Euphoria, some other stuff as well. So if it's a prominent name, like somebody that has a name recognition, but maybe isn't already tapped or connected to a bigger IP, then I can kind of see that, and I would be okay with that too. I just don't want it to be somebody that, like, if it's a Jake Gyllenhaal, like I've seen my man in so much stuff that it's really hard for me to believe him as a James Bond. So as long as it's not something along those routes, then I'll be more than happy with. But regardless, I'm just excited at the idea that auditionings are happening, they are taking place. and hopefully by the end of August or September, we'll have this figured out. But if we do have any other further information in regards to the casting, how the casting is, whether we get short names revealed or something like that, we definitely will be keeping you guys posted. Sorry, man. I don't know why this camera just does not want to focus on me today, dude. Yeah, that's so weird. Is it the lighting? Nope, that's way too dark, bro. I need this extra light. I don't know why this thing will not focus on me today. I'm all blurry and shit. I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like this at all, dude. Why am I so fucking blurry? Focus on me, bro. Focus on me, bro. There we go. All right. We'll see how long that lasts for. All right, guys. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in regards to the next James Bond, in regards to auditions. What would you prefer? A more lesser known name? Do you not mind a bigger name that you recognize? You know, Daniel Craig certainly wasn't the most recognizable name when he was first announced. And look what happened with his career and what he did for the James Bond franchise. So we'll definitely see what happens next. But last but not least, our last topic, definitely going to get on the darker side of things. But, you know, I'm ready to revisit or I'm ready to visit anything that Robert Edgar is currently working on. If you're not familiar with Robert Edgar, he's got a couple of great movies under his belt. The Witch with Anya Taylor-Joy. He also did, not last year's, but a couple years ago, he did Nosferatu, the Dracula movie, if you will, that released, I think it was like a Christmas film, if I'm not mistaken. But after watching Nosferatu, I've been locked into anything that Robert Edgar wants to certainly do. And his next feature that he's going to be tackling is a small little movie called Werewulf. That's right. He's diving into the themes of werewolves, first vampires, first witches, then vampires, and now werewolves to a certain extent. We get this new first look image of Aaron Taylor Johnson from the upcoming Werewolf movie. And Esquire magazine this week had a really great article in regards to Robert Edgar's next upcoming film. And so we're going to highlight a little bit about that for you guys today. This is definitely going to be another dark, gritty horror film from the mind of Robert Edgar. And if you loved any of his other previous movies, I think you're going to love this one just as much. But this is from Esquire magazine. First look, he reveals Aaron Taylor Johnson in Werewolf. Let's see here. Just a little bit of history, which I found interesting when I read this. It says around 1210 AD, Gervase of Tilbury, an English cleric and scholar who had traveled widely throughout Europe, wrote down everything he had learned in his years of study and exploration. The work became a handyman encyclopedia known as Otia Imperialia. And in those dark ages, any such compendium of science, history, politics, and geography was both rare and extremely valuable. However, some entries in the catalog are more unusual than others. The third volume, for instance, which translates to "of men who were wolves." He wrote, "One thing I know that is common among our people is that as the fates of men run their course, some are changed into wolves by the lunations." The medieval author chronicled several specific examples of individuals he knew to have been afflicted by a strange, transformative malady. The violence they unleashed, he wrote, had emptied remote villages, led to the vanishing of children, and left survivors mutilated with bites and scratches. There were many other written accounts of shape-shifting beasts from this era, and those archaic texts were all writer-director Robert Eggers needed as inspiration for his latest film, Werewolf. The filmmaker behind Nosferatu, he also did The Northman, The Lighthouse, another great film, and The Witch is renowned for his immersive, authentic style, crafting stories that feel less like movies and more like time travel to dark, distant, uncertain eras. As part of the Esquire's exclusive first look at Werewolf starring Aaron Taylor Johnson. Let me go ahead and bring up this image again for you guys. As a 13th century man haunted by his bestial metamorphosis, Edgar speaks about what he drew from various ancient lores for his original story and what he discarded from modern day pop culture werewolf tales. He also breaks down the roles played by both Lily Rose Depp and William Dafoe and provides the very first details about what to expect when Werewolf debuts this December. So before we get into this article, this interview, I'm not going to read the whole interview because it is a large interview, but like just based off of the lore alone of being able to, first off, the level of research that Robert Edgar seemingly does is out of this world. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the research that Ryan Coogler wind up doing for a movie like Sinners, and how not only educational that movie was, but how immersive it was sort of into that world. And I think Robert Edgar does that same thing with all of his movies. The amount of research that this man does to literally have to find like dark age medieval texts from the 1200s in regards to stories from historians, scientists, and to be able to find like these tales of quote unquote people that transformed into werewolves and what that did to towns and things like that. To be able to take like little bits of quote unquote history like that and create an original story and stay really true to just that time period that he's going to be exploring from the Dark Age. Uh, I love the amount of effort that Robert Edgar puts into it because he then translates that beautifully on the big screen to make you feel like you are a part of this world. I literally just watched The Death of Robin Hood with Hugh Jackman, and one of the things that really took me aback was the filming and the directing style of like set locations, being on location, utilizing natural light, the darkness, the shadows, the grittiness of the medieval period. It, as a viewer, it made me feel like I was experiencing that time period along with those characters. And I think that's exactly what Robert Edgar does extremely well. It's cinema to me. Like he goes above and beyond to fully immerse you in those worlds based off of the historical elements that he does research on, and it's absolutely incredible. Um, he says, maybe you can tell us where your brain began to turn over this story. You've gone from vampires now to werewolves and witches before. He says, yes, obviously this stuff is all part of my DNA and part of my childhood interest. But I wanted to follow up Nosferatu with another horror movie. I had something that was a bit too obscure. So I thought, let me be sensible and make a werewolf movie. I wanted to do it in the UK because that's where I live now. He says, you'll always do a lot of research from real life. What were you drawing on from your inspiration in terms of historical records? He says, I learned that basically because of protections for the wool trade, there was a big effort to get rid of all the wolves in England. It was pretty successful. So the movie takes place around 1300, and that's as late as it could be because once there were no wolves in England, there was no more werewolf lore in England. That became interesting that it was going to be set so medieval. He says that's truly the Dark Ages, so named because history is not very clear. And he says the British stuff is fairly scanty. So eventually I did have to go over to continental Europe. The werewolf lore there is born from people who were doing some horrific, indescribable acts. It was hard for other people to wrap their minds around. They figure these people can't be humans. They must be inhuman. They must be werewolves. So that's where that came from, says the interviewer. He says, I mean, if we really want to get into it, we can talk about the berserkers, an ancient Norse term for especially ferocious warriors who wore bear skins. He says also the people that you see in the Northmen that come from Viking culture. And there's all kinds of wolf warriors from before that. But in a Christian setting, people who turn into werewolves become evil. And the only associations in the Christian mythology become satanic. For werewolf, what pieces of mythology, old or new, did you choose to use or leave behind? If you ask most people, they'd say you become a werewolf by being bitten by one. And of course, rabies causes madness and violence and confusion and bewilderment. Is there a biological component to this world? He says, backpedaling away from influences and mythologies that do and don't have to do with the film. The cool thing about going back into the past is that you can hit sort of a reset button. So all the cliches of being bitten by a werewolf and silver bullets and a lot of stuff that has become almost campy doesn't exist in the mythology of this movie. So you don't need to see Lon Chaney's The Wolfman or An American Werewolf in London to get what's going on here. They also go on to talk a little bit about Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. This is where Robert Edgar gives us a little bit of information. He says he's a farmer. He's a man who is cursed. It's a story. Where to go? It's a story about who man. It is a story about a man who is cursed and is trying to find salvation through love. He's a character who is haunted and in great pain. Can we know his name? He says nobody has a name in the movie. That's interesting. So there's nobody says their name in this film. You said he's cursed. Is there something he brought upon himself or something that's part of some sort of family? He says part of this being a horror film is that it's about mystery and suspense and the slow burn, uncomfortable vibes that leads us into darkness and ultimately horror. I think the less we know, the better. As a farmer, he must be somebody who lives remotely, lives on the land. What's the world like for this man? He says it's a brutal, unforgiving, merciless, grotesque world. More than ever, it's mud and blood and dung and rain and pain and suffering. Aaron's performance is incredibly harrowing. We'll say without a doubt that it's his best performance. And the stuff he does physically and the transformation scenes are incredibly extreme. The emotional intensity he brings to the role is equally as extreme. Interesting. I cannot wait. Aaron Taylor Johnson is one of those actors for me that has very much grown on me in the past couple of years. I saw his performance in Bullet Train, and I feel like ever since I saw him in Bullet Train, it's definitely given me a different perspective on what he's capable of doing as an actor himself. And so I really also enjoyed him in Nosferatu. He was great in that role. So a lot of the people that Robert Edgar is working with continue to be people that he's worked with in the past. Lily Rose Depp, he worked with in Nosferatu. William Dafoe, he worked with in The Lighthouse and Nosferatu also. Aaron Taylor Johnson from Nosferatu also. So it definitely seems as though he's got people that he loves working with that he continues to certainly come back to. I will leave on just this mentioned here a little bit, these last two paragraphs, because it does talk a little bit about other characters in this role. It says, who's in his life? Lily Rose Depp is in the movie, but both of them are working with you again on Nosferatu. He says, she is the heart of the movie. Lily is truly transformative. There's a very clear physical change in her body and her makeup, but she inhabits a very different person that's very different from her and very different from any character she's ever played. She's Aaron's wife, and she's a mother of several children and also a farmer. She's sort of the most gracious person in the film. What can you share about William Dafoe's character? It'll be clear from the trailer that William is a hunter. Okay, so maybe he finds himself hunting Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. You mentioned the wool trade and that there were werewolf lore evaporated after the wolves were exterminated. Around the world, the conflict between human beings and this apex predator are pretty legendary. He says, yeah, and to some degree, probably more exaggerated in the minds of the people at the time. The wolf also becomes a symbol of Satan in sermons on Sunday. There is some stuff like that in the film. The idea of the wolf as the dark one who's trying to ruin your life was pounded into those people's heads. I'm always just really fascinated with how lore and mythology works, especially in a time period like the Dark Ages. If we're talking like, the 12,000s or the 1200s or the 1300s, in that particular time period, that medieval time period. So I'm really fascinated by this. So yeah, sign me up, man. Sign me up. There's plenty more to that article if you want to read. Again, it's from Esquire magazine. If you are fascinated to see or hear a little bit more about what Robert Egger is doing with Werwulf, definitely go ahead and check out the full interview for yourself. But I really love his work. Every movie that I've seen, for some people, maybe a little bit slow paced, but I love the grittiness. I love the darkness, the vibes that his movies make you feel, how immersed in the movies they really are. And you can really tell that he takes really good care of utilizing a lot of the research and stuff from the world that he's built, whether it be historical or fantastical, and really melding them into really compelling movies. And so Werewolf is definitely on my something I'm definitely going to find myself paying very, very close attention to as we get closer to the end of this year, because I do believe it comes out this year. It probably's got some stiff competition. Let me see if I can find the release date for this. Werewolf release. Oh, it's not even typing anything. Werewolf release date. I haven't even seen the trailer yet, but let me see. It says it's set to go ahead and release December 25th of this year. So it's going to have some stiff competition out there because it's going to have Dune that's going to be in theaters at that time. It's also going to be having Avengers Doomsday, I think, like on its second week. Although, to be fair, I think it is a great sort of opposite to what is out. If you are a horror movie fan, you're probably going to be seeing Werewolf before you see, Avengers Doomsday or Dune, or maybe he's hoping that people have gone out to see those films their first or second week, and that Werewolf, especially on Christmas, gets a lot of recognition, or at least still is able to tap into a good amount of the box office without the box office kind of draining it. And I have a feeling like he probably does these movies for relatively low cost budget wise. So I have a feeling that maybe Robert Egger's movies probably do end up being rather profitable than not. Let me see something here. Let me go to Box Office Mojo for just a second. I am kind of curious as to what Nosferatu did. To be fair, when Nosferatu released, me and the girlfriend did go see it on Christmas. We saw it that Christmas morning, and it was a vibe. Like, I'd never really experienced a movie. So the movie itself made $181 million worldwide. So not a ton of money, but Nosferatu budget. Robert Eggers was produced on a reported budget of $50 million. So he made Nosferatu for $50 million. Worldwide came in at $181 million. So it definitely was profitable. So if he can keep the Werewolf budget down to like $50 million, he might be in for another a great turnout at the box office here. So I'm kind of looking forward to this one. I don't know if this is maybe this is a film that I do see on Christmas. We'll see how many times I've seen Dune 3 or Avengers Doomsday if I want to go ahead and see it again, or if this is going to be the movie of choice for our Christmas movie, because the girlfriend does like a good horror film, if I'm being honest. Keegan Lucas says, problem with Aaron Taylor Johnson is that his box office is usually pretty bad, even though movie studios keep banking on him. I really don't like the concept of nepo babies or nepotism. People like Werewolf and Twilight movies, so maybe it'll be popular. There's also a Marvel Werewolf show on Disney Plus. Oh yeah, that's right. There was that werewolf special presentation that the MCU did that was actually pretty good. But I think if werewolves definitely are popular for sure. But I also do think if people recognize the idea, like, oh, it's done by the guy that did The Lighthouse and The Witch and Nosferatu, they're probably going to be hungry for more, knowing that this isn't necessarily going to be your traditional werewolf movie, like the Wolfman movie that we just had. Was it earlier this year or last year? With the girl that played the Silver Surfer. I can't remember. Was it the Wolfman? I believe it was. The most recent take on it. I hope that doesn't dilute the box office for Robert Eggers' Werewolf, because I can guarantee those are going to feel like two completely different type of movies. But I do think Robert Eggers' Werewolf will really surprise some people, especially if you're familiar with his work, and if you really appreciate somebody that's really explores the lore before making a movie, sort of thing. That's definitely Robert Edgar. He does such a good job of making you feel really immersed in his world. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it for sure. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, that will do it for all of our main topics today, guys. So thank you for everybody that certainly joined us today for all of our topics. But I think you guys know what time it is.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And if you have a live viewer question, or if you want to know how do I submit a live viewer question, you can do so at any time. So every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, we will go ahead and post up a live viewer question post. The only thing you have to do is go over to our YouTube channel, as you see here. Click on that post tab right here, this post tab. Click on that. And voila, live viewer questions for you guys dropped 20 hours ago. We got 11 comments, man. So I appreciate you guys certainly coming through. I know Stuart's not here today, but I appreciate you guys always participating and getting some of your questions in. All right, guys, let's see what we got here. Let's kick off today's live viewer questions with Peg C. I was diving into some film history recently. It made a pretty wild connection. Most people know Michael G. Wilson as a titan of the James Bond franchise, but did you know his father was actually the first actor to bring the Cape Crusader to life in live action? His father, Lewis Wilson, starred as Batman in the original 1943 movie Serial. How cool is that? Legacy of superhero cinema is so deeply rooted in the family history of a man who helped shape the modern Bond era. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That is pretty neat. Give me one moment, because I want to see if there's another connection here too. Okay, never mind. That's not the connection that I certainly thought that it was, but that is a pretty cool connection, to be linked to two big IPs like that. To be the original, have your father be the original Batman, and then you go on to have an impact in regards to the James Bond franchise. That is actually pretty dope. You also say Elizabeth Banks is set to step into the iconic shoes of Miss Frizzle in the Magic School Bus movie. With her history of playing eccentric and memorable characters, do you think she's a perfect choice to bring a legendary character to life? What are your thoughts? And I say, and that's the thing. I think we know Elizabeth Banks to play those characters, but I'm starting to wonder, like, if she's being like just typecast in this role. Like, immediately once Hollywood thinks of somebody that they need to be eccentric and a memorable character and play over the top roles, if they're just like Elizabeth Banks, let's just get her. Like, I am kind of curious if other people came in to audition for this role, or if she just sort of inherited this role from back when they tried to do this a few years back also. Again, she's not my first choice for this role, but I do think that she will do a great job in this role. I think she is a great choice for it. Maybe not my first choice. I would have gone with either an Alex Kingston or maybe a Catherine Hahn. But I do think if there's anybody else that is capable of doing a Miss Frizzle, it is Elizabeth Banks. He says a Freddy Krueger animated is in the works at Paramount called Freddy the 13th with Dan Trachtenberg set to direct. The movie follows a family on vacation that goes bad when Uncle Freddy accidentally takes out the boogeyman and then takes his powers. What are your thoughts? Is that a real thing? Wait a minute. Wait. I'm trying to load up this article. I Google searched this. You're likely thinking of the iconic character or the newly announced animated feature film Freddy the 13th. Yeah, this was Freddy the 13th animated movie set at Paramount with Predator Badland director Dan Trachtenberg. A Variety reported this back on June 22nd. Director Dan Trachtenberg is developing the Freddy the 13th animated movie based on the indie comic about the fictional Freddy Van Winkle, a hapless 13th born son who seems to fail at everything he does. Though Freddy the 13th sounds scary, the studio promises a wholesome PG rated movie that will deliver laughs to the whole family. The story follows a family vacation that turns into a nightmare when after fun Uncle Freddy accidentally kills the boogeyman and takes his powers. I spent most of my career making movies that parents probably shouldn't show their kids. Happy to announce I'm finally making one they can? Question mark. Um, I have no idea what this is even supposed to be. Like, I'm so confused. Like, it's like anytime I think of Freddy Krueger, I immediately think of horror movie. But the premise of a fun Uncle Freddy accidentally killing the boogeyman and taking his powers, like if he's an uncle, if he's a fun uncle, does he do bad things then with his ability to um be in people's nightmares or dreams, or does the fun uncle turn to the not fun uncle by the end of it? I don't know. I mean, the fact that Dan Trachtenberg questions the idea that it's a parent film that you can take your kids to see, um I'm just not used to that from Dan Trachtenberg, so I'm kind of curious as to what this is truly going to be. He's done such great stuff with Predator that a part of me is like, I kind of want to wait and see what this is gonna be like. But I had never heard that before until you brought that up, Pegsy. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I really have no idea what that's going to be or how I feel about it. But it's Dan Trachtenberg, and he's done some great stuff recently. So um, it it piques my interest enough to want to hear more. I'll just say that. AJ the Morphing Grid. Did Grid Connection inadvertently honor the early script of Forever Red during the transfer power transfer arc in Power Rangers season 2? The visuals of both trios standing side by side strongly implied that Jason's original Red Rangers were duplicated rather than truly transferred. To fix this lingering lore issue, the unproduced script from the 10th anniversary special Forever Red originally planned for Tommy Oliver to travel to Zordon's home planet of Eltar to forge Jason a brand new Tyrannosaurus Dino coin. Decades later, Power Rangers Beast Morphers finally resolved his power status when a mysterious meteor and localized Morph X energy completely restored Jason's original coin. By utilizing the Morphing Grid direct energy to bring the original Ranger back to full strength, did Grid Connection inadvertently honor that scrap concept for 2002? Probably did. It sounds like it. Maybe they went back and they're like, hey, we had a script kind of like this. We should just build off of that. That's what it kind of feels like that. Appreciate you coming through, AJ. Marcelino in the house. Only 2 questions today. Did you know that the electric villain in Spider Noir isn't actually Electro? The villain in Spider Noir was actually the villain Megawatt, played by Lewis Caldwell. Megawatt is another Spider-Man villain who has electric powers, but only ever made one comic appearance in the 90s. Interesting. Let me see. Spider-Man Megawatt. Let's see if While Megawatt received his first live-action adaptation of Spider-Noir, the character originated in Marvel Comics. In the comics, Dirk Layden was an Australian convict given his powers by mad scientist Dr. Jonas Harrow, who fought Spider-Man to a draw, managed to escape police custody, and eventually pursued his dream of becoming a successful international film actor. Let me see if there's any images of okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. When he announced himself as Megawatt in Spider Noir, I was like, oh, they're just naming Electro something different. But it's kind of cool that they went with almost like I want to say a no name, but the fact that they went with a different character from that lore, I think they probably should have just went with Electro personally. But the idea of it being a Megawatt feels like it fits that time period of Spider Noir a little bit better. So that's kind of cool. Did you find it frustrating that whenever there's something pro diversity and ends up coming off as a mockery to a point to where you have to side with the anti woke crowd? Here are a few examples: Velma, Santa Inc., and the canceled New York Warriors comic. People like Double Toasted, Common Drake, Your Movie Sucks, and many more reluctant sided with the anti-woke crowd when it came to those products because they were that bad and offensive that it made them unite it's with anti-woke crowd against a comment entry. Some say that was the closest we came to world peace. I mean, it is frustrating. It is frustrating when that sort of thing kind of happens. I still find it a rarity, but it does happen from time to time. The world peace thing is hilarious, though. I like, wow, we finally agree on something common here. Yeah, sometimes it feels a little bit too on the nose or too over the top. You know, some things can be done a little bit more subtly. Yeah, I do find it frustrating sometimes, but hey, at least we agree on something. Marcus, what's up, Marcus? It's 1985, and you woke up as Doc Brown. What is the first thing you'll do first? I would get a bulletproof vest and then try and create two versions of the DeLorean. Oh, the regular one, and then a handheld time travel machine as an alternative, like a wristwatch. What would you do? Interesting. Well, he did get the bulletproof vest, right? Doc eventually did get the bulletproof vest because when we do come back from 1985, or when we do come back from 1965, when did we go back? 1955? I can't remember. When we came back, Doc Brown did have the bulletproof vest, so he survived. So yes, I would definitely get a bulletproof vest. I actually probably would even create some booby traps as well. And by booby traps, I mean if I already know which direction the terrorists are going to come for me, like what road they're going to take and things like that. Like even if we're just in the mall parking lot, just remembering the path that they took to get to me, you better believe I would be setting some type of traps down that road so that van just does not even get to me sort of in the first place. I'm not just bringing the bulletproof vest, but I'm also bringing some other gadgetry to stop that van from even reaching me in the first place. That's definitely what I would certainly do. Jack, what's up, Jack? In the second season of Netflix series Cobra Kai, during the massive high school brawl, the character Stingray completely ruined his chances of getting hired as a school security guard by actively fighting and beating up minors. Given how bizarre it was for a grown man applying for a school position to violently attack young students, is Stingray also one of your least favorite characters in the entire series? Cobra Kai Stingray. Let me see, what is Stingray the guy that I think? Oh, I can actually kind of like Stingray. Stingray actually, I think because he was kind of utilized a little bit as the comedic humor, it kind of worked for me in that regard. Is it bizarre? Yeah, it is bizarre, but I kind of enjoyed him as a character. Alan, what's up, Alan? The MCU established the modern blueprint for interconnected superhero storytelling through its ambitious phase-based structure. In contrast, James Gunn's new DC universe aims to distinguish itself by utilizing a chapter format that emphasizes more individualistic, character-driven narratives with the fictionalized, unique world. With these two major franchises evolving in different directions, which approach do you think will ultimately resonate more with modern audiences? Man, I mean, I have always found, I mean, like the chapter format to me still feels very much like a phase concept. If you want to call it phases, if you want to call it chapters, that's fine. That format is very familiar to me, but the idea of the DC universe going more individualistic, character driven narratives, um very much like standalone movies. um I it's hard because I think the Marvel model is the perfect one to building cinematic universes. um I think sometimes we try and reinvent the wheel, um in regards to trying to make a cinematic universe work in a completely different way. And I don't think you need to make it any different. Like if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think Marvel gave an incredible blueprint on how to make an interconnective superhero storytelling really work. Uh the first phase in regards to the Infinity Saga um really worked well. I think it just comes from a perspective of those movies to me, at least the phase one movies to me, like like the Iron Mans and the Incredible Hulks and the Captain America First Avenger, they really work well as their own individual films. The thing that made it a cinematic universe that made it work even more though was those post-credit scenes. They weren't just additional scenes, but they were additional scenes that would help lead into sort of the next movie. And I think that's what really connected those films together. Not so much that one movie relied on another movie to tell its story, but that it really utilized the end credits not as like goofy end credit sequences, but gave you an additional scene with the people from the movie that you just watched that hinted towards what you might get in the next film, or at least helps open the door for other people in regards to what you would get in the next film. And so I still think the DCU should go that route. Like the fact that Supergirl doesn't have, or I don't even think Superman has a post-credit scene that leads to bigger and other things. I do think that that's kind of a disservice to the cinematic universe that you're creating. Superman should have, I mean, granted, the final act, the final scene does kind of hint at a bigger adventure for Supergirl, her picking up crypto and leaving. So it kind of does that. But I still think Superman should have had a post-credit scene that hinted towards another adventure for Supergirl. And I think Supergirl should have had a post-credit scene that hinted at the idea of what could be coming in Man of Tomorrow. It doesn't have to give so much away, but lead into each other. You can still be a solo movie and not necessarily address what happened in Superman per se. But I think Supergirl had enough of Superman in it to hint that they are connective pieces. But then you want to go that step further and give Supergirl some sort of post credit to then lead into the next movie. It doesn't behold you to going into that direction, but at least teasing something goes a long way. So I will be curious to kind of see how the DCU on just a solo movie, but within a universe, how that works. Because we're gonna get a movie like Clayface. Is Clayface not gonna have a post credit scene? This is just gonna be its own individual horror film. Like that's cool and all, But I think if you're trying to build some level of cinematic universe, there has to be some sort of connective tissues. And I think that's really what worked well for Marvel, is the fact that they also kept those connective tissues, at least on the movie side of things. They weren't, at their time, they weren't spreading themselves so thinly in regards to then, everything's connected via television series also. That's kind of what the DCU was trying to dive into also with Lanterns. But Lanterns may take place in that world, but I don't know what the connective tissues or what they're going to be teasing from Green Lantern towards going into something like a Man of Tomorrow, or if they don't tease it kind of at all. So I do think that MCU established the modern blueprint, and yet everybody else seems, it's one or two things. It's either they don't fully want to embrace that concept and they want to do something different, and sometimes it just doesn't work, or they embrace that concept but they just put out really piss poor movies, or they expect the immediate success of what the MCU did and they expect those results immediately, and that's just not the case. Like, Marvel Cinematic Universe really had to start somewhere before it would really start building up that momentum to get to Endgame. But yet it feels as though every studio now that is trying to do a cinematic universe is trying to capture those Endgame vibes when they haven't even earned it yet, if that makes sense, right? So people think that they're following the blueprint of the MCU sometimes, but they're really not. But I do think the MCU has established the modern blueprint to success, and I really wish that they would certainly follow that a little bit more. That's to say that the James Gunn's DC universe can't be successful, but it's definitely still a wait and see. So we'll see. Nathan, what's up, Nathan? Nathaniel. Many fans have noted the striking vocal resemblance between Chris Tucker and his son, leading some to speculate about the potential future casting opportunities. If a sequel to a Michael Jackson biopic were to explore the King of Pop's real-life friendship with Chris Tucker, who would you like to see his son cast in a role following the precedent set by O'Shea Jackson, who portrayed his father, Ice Cube, in Straight Outta Compton? That would be pretty cool. I don't necessarily know if it's going to have like a significant role in the film, but like him meeting Chris Tucker or being introduced to Chris Tucker would be cool. If it's like a 2-3 minute scene, why not have Chris Tucker's son portray that role? That'd be kind of cool. Marco, Jane's transformation into the mighty Thor served as a powerful albeit temporary reprieve from a terminal cancer diagnosis. While her heroic sacrifice was a poignant conclusion to her story, I did not fully anticipate the finality of her passing when she first took up the mantle. How do you believe Jane's death fundamentally reshaped Thor's perspective on his own immortality and purpose? Oh man, probably in the case of not taking it for granted. It's been a while. I do have the Mighty Thor run. I think it was by Jason Aaron, who might have written it at the time. That's when Thor was like really hitting for me. Was a point in conclusion of the story. I did not fully anticipate the finality of her passing when she first took up the mantle. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. How do you think her death fundamentally reshaped Thor's perspective on his own immortality and purpose? I mean, I really do think it's a case of not taking your immortality for granted. I think it definitely shined a light even further on Jane, her impact, and her impact in regards to certainly Thor's life. But yeah, I got to think that it probably put some level of like not taking it for granted, and understanding, like probably even understanding even fully like what a true hero's sacrifice kind of looks like. Probably adds a little bit more purpose to his life for sure. Somebody that wasn't somebody that was immortal, that was gifted these powers, and what do you do with that power that you're given, right? especially somebody that was at their deathbed, and the choices that they decided to make of helping others before kind of helping themselves. Like even knowing the idea of like turning into this, using up this power would certainly harm her physical body, and yet certainly still doing that. I gotta think Thor walks away from seeing Jane as that mighty Thor and learning a ton of lessons in regards to what it means to truly be a hero, putting oneself before, or putting others before certainly oneself. Jessica Friedman, who would you like to see voice cast in the new Thundercats movie? And have you seen the second of the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender? What are your thoughts on it? I have not seen the second season for Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though it is currently up on Netflix. If you guys have watched season 2 of the of Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, I would definitely love to know your guys' thoughts in the live chat. As far as who I would like to see voice cast in the new Thundercats movie, I am a fan of unknowns. Um, I'm a fan of unknowns in that role, especially since we're not going to be doing live action format. I mean, it would be well. Let's see. I mean, if we're when we talk about um like if I got a whole entire movie of motion capture characters like Avatar, if you will, like Avatar, I still find as live action because there are human actors in there mixed in with the CG. But if we were to take all of the CG elements of Avatar and turn that into a Thundercats, I would consider that an animated movie at that point in time. So maybe you don't necessarily go with just voice actors, if they go the route more of like motion capture. If they go the route of motion capture for their animation, then go more um more well-known names. But if we do go just full on, like we're just doing 3D CGI renders, like then maybe just professional voice actors. But if they are going to do motion capture, then definitely give me a more well-known actor. I don't know any names off the top of my head, but that's the route that I certainly would go. Um, and this kind of dives into that a little bit. The next question here from Yusef. What's up, Yusef? I have a friend named Yusef also, but spelled differently. What do you think about the common critique that casting high-profile celebrities like Chris Pratt often prioritizes star power over the specialized talents of aspiring professional voice actors? While many fans enjoy joking about his ubiquity in major film roles, the underlying frustration highlights a real tension between industry marketing strategies and a recognition of seasoned artists in the craft. Do you believe that recognizable names will continue to overshadow traditional voice acting talents in upcoming animated projects, or is the industry likely to shift its approach? I don't think they're going to shift their approach. I do think recognizable names will continue to overshadow traditional voice acting talent. And I only say that because, I mean, you look at something like James Gunn's DCU, right? Even he's been prolific in pointing out, like, if it's a DCU project and it's animated and we eventually have those roles that are going to be in live action, we want to cast an actor for that role so they could do the voice work and also be cast as the person in live action. So it seems to be that's the route that they're probably going to continue to go. And I think studios just also are recognizing the idea, or feel like they need to attach a well-known celebrity in order to get people out to go see the movie as well. Like, I don't necessarily know if they are the most confident in just an animation project doing well on its own. If animation projects, especially for those on the big screen, if they need bigger names attached to it. Like, I would be curious. Let me look up something real quick. Let me look up one thing here. I'm gonna look up the War of the Rohirrim cast. You know, the the most recent Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim movie came out. And they didn't really, well, I can't say they didn't really have a lot of big names because they had Brian Cox, who did the role for Helm Hammerhand. They also had Miranda Otto, who did the voice for Eowyn. Wasn't she the one that did, wasn't she in the Lord of the Rings movie? Oh yeah, she played Eowyn, but she did the voice work for Eowyn. So that's why. Christopher Lee did the voice work for Sauron. They got Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan to come back and do their roles as hobbits. But other than that, I mean, no really big popular current names. And I do wonder if Warner Brothers did get big popular well-known actors, if people would have gone to the movies to have seen it. You know, Brian Cox, great actor. I love him as an actor. He was great as Helm Hammerhand. Um, but like if Brian Cox is like the biggest name that you have attached to it, you know, I do wonder how the road of the War of Rohirrim would have done. Because I mean, we were talking Lord of the Rings animation on the big screen. You know, produced by Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyu, who brought us the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know, if that movie, Lord of the Rings property animation, can't do big numbers without big star name recognition, you know, I do wonder what that means. But then again, you had like Transformers 1, though, right? Transformers 1 had some really big names attached to that project. And that was a crapshoot at the box office, just terrible, just completely flopped at the box office. But to be fair to Transformers 1, the marketing campaign for that movie was atrocious. Like the trailers never truly depicted like what that, from what I hear, that the trailers never truly depicted what Transformers 1 truly was as a movie. And those trailers were just god awful. And probably the marketing team alone probably turned people off from not showing up. So I do wonder, had that movie had better marketing, understood what it wanted to be and how it wanted to portray itself to people, if the marketing was better and you've got a big franchise like Transformers backed by well-known actors voicing, would that movie have done a little bit better? So I don't really know, but I am very much under the impression that studios will probably continue to do the more name recognition because they're going to feel like an animated movie on the big screen alone cannot flourish without big names attached to it, and that the big names itself will draw the crowds in. So I think that's the lesson that studios are certainly learning. Although I personally would like more, like if they're not going to be depicting their characters in live action, I don't understand why you just don't get professional voice actors. Like that's what we have them for. So utilize them better. So yeah, I always will prefer unknown, you know, or professional voice actors to do those voice acting roles over celebrities any day of the week. But if you are going to be adapted into a live action, then I can understand going the big name route. But if not, if we're sticking to just animation, give me a voice actor, man. Give me a voice actor. They need jobs too. They need jobs too. But I also think too, like I think Hollywood is just changing also. You know, I don't think opportunities exist like they certainly used to. I think, you know, it's probably why we're seeing more actors who are big names doing more streaming service television series, because maybe movies aren't necessarily bringing in as much money as doing like a streaming service used to. And those, you know, those television series used to go to like no named actors or smaller actors, but now you've got big actors kind of coming into those roles also of limited series and streaming television shows as well. So it's probably really limiting streaming in general is probably really limiting opportunities for a little bit of everybody. And it just so happens to be the big names are really taking a lot more of those smaller opportunities now. So yeah. And last but not least, from Alex, despite some people's opinions on the DC Arrowverse, many agree that it was the more ambitious and respectful in providing meaningful long-term stories for beloved characters compared to the former DC EU. This shared sentiment highlights how the television format allowed for deeper exploration of character arcs that resonated strongly with the fan base over many years. The cast and crew of each series also did their best to provide good stories during the pandemic COVID-19 pandemic. What would you like James Gunn to borrow from the success of the Arrowverse for his version of the DCU? Oh man. What would you like James Gunn to borrow from the success of the Arrowverse for his version of the DCU? Oh boy. Look, first, shout out to the DC Arrowverse in general. I know people crap on some of the shows because of the fact that they were CW related, but I got to tell you, I think looking at the DCEU and also looking at the DCU, I still think the CW has given us the best live action adaptations to these characters I could have ever asked for. I think they're more successful. I think their characters are more likable. I think the storylines have been better. People can crap on some of the terrible aspects of the CW all day, but I would put up some of the best Arrowverse CW shows and their storylines against some of the best DCEU or DCU movies and still pick the CW Arrowverse stuff. I'm sorry. Like Arrowverse season 2, The Flash season 2 are better than anything like comic book movie wise that CW has done. Like the DC EU or the DCU has done. Like Arrow season 2 better than the current Superman movie. The Flash season 2 probably better than Man of Steel. Like I'm just being honest. Like I think Arrowverse has just done these characters and these stories better. But to be fair, the Arrowverse just has had much more time to focus, right? Like television is just so completely different from live action. Even Nicolas Cage, who just did Spider Noir, has become much more open to this, to where as an actor, even he finds the idea of doing 8 to 10 episode arcs for these characters it just opens up the emotional connection that you have with audiences, and you're able to get into deeper aspects of their personality and how they hold themselves in their story arcs and things like that you just cannot do from the movie side. So like what would you like James Gunn to borrow from the success of the Arrowverse? Maybe just longevity, connective tissues. Don't be afraid to connect these aspects and these titles together in some way, shape, or form. But I think it's really just going to be having to create some level of longevity in his version of the DCU. I don't know if that's possible, unfortunately. I don't know what the merger of Paramount and Warner Brothers is gonna entail. Just James Gunn stick around for the merger if that's the case. Some people say his contract I think expires in 2027 after the release of Man of Tomorrow. I haven't heard any word on if he's going to re-up with it. I have heard that Paramount, like David Ellison, went to the set of Man of Tomorrow to talk to James Gunn and Peter Safran, and said that he was going to keep them on board. So potentially maybe you can continue your DCU universe once the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger is complete. But the question would be, would James Gunn even want to stick around for that? Yeah, the only really success of the Arrowverse that I would say I want James Gunn to replicate when it comes to the DCU, his costumes look great. It's just character first, connectivity, and longevity. is really what I would emphasize towards James Gunn if I had to tell him anything. But that's just me. What do I know? Let me just refresh this and make sure. I believe that's all the questions. Yep, that's all the comments that we've had today. So thank you everybody for certainly participating in our live viewer question of the show. But yeah, let me see what you guys are saying in the live chat. If there's anything else you guys are bringing up. Kiki and Lucas said Friday the 13th cartoon, is it for kids? PG-13, is this a joke? Yeah, I thought it was a joke too, but it seems very much real. I mean, the fact that they're saying this is something that's going to be like PG-13 related for kids and their family, that just seems odd to me. But it's Dan Trachtenberg. Kiki and Lucas says, to be fair, the Predator cartoon was good. Yeah, I mean, I would have to be I'd have to find, like, even though the Predator cartoon, and I'm assuming you're talking about the Killer of Killers, that was really good. Dan Trachtenberg certainly did that, but that's like, we're talking rated R compared to PG, PG or a PG-13 kid-friendly cartoon. I really don't know how that's going to go, but if anybody has the ability to mend different genres together to make something great, Dan Trachtenberg has certainly proved that with Predator. Maybe he could do something kind of cool and for the kids, like for the kids. When you say Freddy Krueger, that's crazy to me. Kiki and Lucas says Marvel interactions worked until they overdid it. Yeah. Yep, for sure. And they went too far with the interconnectedness. I think if they had just literally, like, if they literally had just stuck to, let's just do the movies interconnected, then great. But they definitely got ahead of themselves when they wanted to overexpand everything. Kiki and Lucas says, I heard that Lord of the Rings animated movie sucked. I liked it. I mean, I don't know how it plays streaming service wise, but on the big screen, it kind of worked for me. It was just like a solo story. But I liked what it brought to the table. Marcelino says several voice actors in anime community have expressed concern of professional actors replacing them. I think maybe if you stick in the anime community, maybe not so much. Like, I don't necessarily know. This will okay. Like, I don't know a lot of big name actors that are jumping over to do voice work for anime right now. If you know any big name actors that are jumping into anime, let me know some of those actors. I just don't know them at the time. But like, when I think of myself like My Hero Academia, right? Like, let's take that as an example. They plan on making that into, I believe, a live action movie, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. My Hero Academia live action. A live action at My Hero is currently in development by Legendary and Netflix, and being written by Jason Fuchs. So they're going to be doing a live action My Hero Academia. If it's going to be live action immediately, yes, you've got yourself probably big name actors that will do it. But again, I don't necessarily know that. I don't think that means like then those actors are now going to become the voice roles for the anime series. You know what I mean? I was trying to find another like big anime. Like anime, also they did like the Demon Slayer movie for Netflix, right? They released that on the big screen, but they didn't get like big Hollywood actors to come in and do the voice for Demon Slayer. At least I don't believe that they did. I'm sure that they still kept to the Demon Slayer cast, but they didn't necessarily bring in big names to add to the Demon Slayer voice cast instead, in order to get it over here in the United States, if that kind of makes sense. So I am kind of curious if on the anime front, if maybe that's not necessarily a route that they have to worry about. But I do think like American animation, I think they probably have to worry more about that than anything. But maybe I'm wrong. Shout out to Kiki and Luca. Thanks for the show, Adam. You'll always bring joy. Hey, I try. I do my best. Pexi also says, first of all, Kiki and Luca, thank you so much again for the super chat. Always coming through. Feels like if not on a weekly basis, every other couple of weeks, whatever the case may be, we really do appreciate you continuing to support this show. And hopefully I was able to start your weekend off on the right note. Pexi also says you can rent Johnny Young Bosch's movie Spades on Amazon Prime, and it's going to be streamed on Indie Rights Movies for a free YouTube channel starting August 8th in 2026. All right, I'll keep that in mind, Pexi. Maybe I have to have you remind me a little bit more as we get a little bit closer to that. But I appreciate it because I do want to check it out. But guys, that will do it for today's show. Thank you, everybody that certainly participated and joined us in the live viewer questions. You guys really helped make this this episode all that better, if I'm being honest with you guys. A couple things to look forward to this week. So we will be having a Let's Talk Movies episode tomorrow. Stuart will be available for that. We're going to be talking the new Supergirl movie along with Jackass for you guys. So definitely go ahead and check us out tomorrow. That's probably going to be going live at 8 p.m. Central Time for you guys. So we'll definitely see you guys tomorrow night. I do think we also have. Do we have X-Men starting this week? I can't remember when the new season of X-Men starts. Something tells me it's either this week or next week. X-Men 97 season 2. We did do reviews for that show last time, so maybe we will do reviews for it again. I'll definitely keep you guys posted. But any other new videos that drop, pay attention to our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so. If there's a big trailer or there's a really big seismic news that drops, we may do individual videos for it up on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification so when we do drop brand new videos, you'll definitely be notified. And then, of course, we'll certainly be back for you guys next Sunday. What is next Sunday? It'll be July 5th, so right after July 4th. So we probably still will have an A+ Hero Report for you guys live next Sunday. So certainly join us then. If you want to follow us on social media, you can definitely go ahead and do so. You can find us at A+ Opinions on social media. On Twitter, we are A+ Hero Report now. So again, on Twitter, it's A+ Hero Report. I would also suggest following us at A+ Opinions on Facebook. Our Facebook page really continues to grow, man. We're at like 4,400 followers at the moment and continuing to just grow. So if you want to be part of our Facebook page, go follow us at A+ Opinions. Very active over there on a daily basis. That's right, daily basis. We're like a great aggregator for your nerd news when it comes to movies and television. We post a ton of news over there, brand new trailers, brand new posters, first look featurettes, first look images. We keep you up posted on a daily basis, and then we take 6 topics from that page and then we talk about them here on a YouTube channel live every Sunday for you guys. But that will certainly do it for us here. Kiki and Lucas says, see you guys next time. July 1st is when season 2 comes out. So it does drop this week. I'm going to prepare myself for season 2 by watching the old series and season 1 of X-Men 97. Yeah, I just started my rewatch of X-Men 97 season 1. I think I'm on episode number 2 right now. So I'll talk about if we decide to do season 2 for you guys. I believe Indy was doing season 1 and then he fell off, and then I wind up picking up the last couple of episodes. It is supposed to be a 3-episode premiere on July 1st, and then after that one episode a week. So certainly stay tuned to that. We probably will review it around here for you guys, so certainly stay tuned. But that will do it for us here, guys. We will certainly see you guys next week. So in the meantime, do us a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.